There are people who were never meant to become heroes, yet fate forces them to be. And Wang Lin is one of them. Born into an ordinary family, he carried a simple wish in his heart to cultivate immortality and repay his parents' kindness. But the world is never that kind. No talent, no background, no guidance, everything seemed to whisper to him, the path of cultivation is not for you. Yet in the midst of that hopelessness, Wang Lin chose something that very few have the courage to do. He kept going. He walked forward with stubbornness. He walked forward with longing. He walked forward with everything left in his resilient heart. A strange opportunity came to him, opening a path of cultivation drenched in blood and loneliness. There, every improvement required a sacrifice. Every step forward meant losing something precious. To grow stronger, he had to endure 100 times more than ordinary people. Renegade Immortal is the tale of a man who never submits. A man willing to defy the heavens, defy fate, and defy the world just to protect what his heart refuses to let go. This is not merely an immortal cultivation story. This is the journey of a soul so powerful that even eternity must bow. And today, I invite you to step into that journey, the journey of Wang Lin, the man who walks against the will of heaven to find the answer meant for himself. Yan Kuezi was stunned and said, "That wisp of your evil intent from back then." The third ancestor nodded and said, "That's right, it was that wisp of intent. If it had successfully possessed me, it would have definitely absorbed a portion of my essence. How could I let it succeed back then after I severed that intent? Unexpectedly, a young cultivator obtained it. That young cultivator is now in the Vermilion Bird tomb. Although I couldn't indirectly destroy that wisp of intent, I could cause it to change slightly. Normally, it wouldn't matter, but during possession, even a slight mishap could cause the possession to fail." After saying this, the third ancestor touched his forehead with his right hand, and the strange tree on his forehead immediately began to move eerily. A cluster of runes flashed from his forehead, entering the void and slowly disappearing. In the Vermilion Bird tomb, Wang Lin entered the altar and immediately sensed a teleportation force emanating from it. He bent down, placing his right hand on the altar, intending to teleport. At that moment, without warning, a large amount of dust suddenly gushed out from within Lumi's 7 orifices. Meig's startled cry immediately echoed. How can this be? How can a force similar to my origin from the outside world interfere with my possession? How can this be? Since birth, Meig had no memory of her past. This was the first time she had encountered such a thing. Previously, when she entered Lumi's body and destroyed Lumi's mental state, she suddenly felt deep pain within her soul. This pain instantly rendered her powerless. A sudden feeling of weakness spread throughout her body. Therefore, she was immediately attacked by Lumi's intent, forced to break free from her opponent's body. The moment Meig emerged from Lumi's 7 orifices, Lumi instantly opened her eyes and exclaimed, "One last illusion, you can't escape," following Lumi's words. A large amount of dust was immediately sucked back into Lumi's 7 orifices. Meig screamed, her entire body still weak and powerless. A look of despair flashed in her eyes. But immediately, she gritted her teeth and said hatefully, "If I can't possess her, then I'll merge." Having said that, it's unknown what method Meig used, but her soul instantly emitted an eerie radiance, and finally, with a loud bang, shattered. A powerful, malevolent intent also shattered, completely absorbed into Lumi's body. All of this happened incredibly quickly. Almost as soon as Wang Lin's gaze returned to Lumi, the seductive charm had vanished. In that instant, a pale pink mist, filled with frenzied lust, erupted from every corner of Lumi's body through every pore. Her clothes instantly dissolved into dust. What appeared before Wang Lin was a soft, striking, and utterly captivating body that mesmerized anyone who looked at it. Wang Lin, unable to teleport away in time as the dust dispersed, immediately flew back. At the same time, he swung his right hand forward, and a whirlwind carrying immortal power instantly surged forth, blowing towards the dust. However, despite his rapid retreat, the dust did not stop at all, like a transparent entity, unaffected by the whirlwind, continuing to spread wildly. The rate of dispersion was too fast. As Wang Lin retreated, some dust particles still seeped into his body along his hair. However, not much dust entered his body. Wang Lin's immortal power circulated, suppressing it. His expression darkened, and he quickly retreated to avoid further infiltration of the dust. This dust isn't magic, but rather a manifestation of my mental state, so divine abilities are useless against it. Wang Lin's expression darkened as he gazed at the large, circular cloud of dust within the valley. From within the mist, a figure emerged, gradually revealing her face. Liu Mi, whose skin was originally flawless and fair, now had a faint blush. Especially her eyes, which at times showed indifference, at other times flashed with lust. Her expression revealed a struggle of pain. At this moment, the indifference in Liu Mi's eyes vanished, completely replaced by lust. A beautiful smile appeared on her lips, and she pointed her right hand at the void. Immediately, dust swirled around her body, spreading wildly in all directions at an unimaginable speed. This spread was like a shockwave, mixed with immense force, roaring outwards. This speed of spread surpassed Wang Lin's speed. In the blink of an eye, an area of tens of thousands of miles instantly transformed into a pink world of dust. The mountain was covered in this dust, like a mist in the depths of the mountains, giving a dreamlike, illusory appearance from afar. Wang Lin was not far from Liu Mi, at the epicenter of this spreading dust. With his mental fortitude, if he stopped breathing and channeled his mental energy, he could barely avoid it. But at this moment, before Wang Lin could escape, the dust in his body, though suppressed and only requiring the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to completely expel, broke free from the suppression and spread throughout his body along with the pink dust covering him. This combination of internal and external forces caused Wang Lin's consciousness to become muddled for the first time. The heavenly illusion Heartless Tao on Liu Mi's body had reached the mid-stage of the nascent soul transformation. This heavenly illusion was actually only 999 illusions. Each illusion was a form of Liu Mi. Just like Liu Mi in the heavenly Tao sect back then, it was only an illusion of her true form. Liu Mi had experienced these illusory bodies a total of 999 times, and only one more illusion remained to reach the heavenly illusion Heartless Tao. Achieving the late stage of the nascent soul transformation, a state of great perfection. As long as she possessed enough immortal jade to push her immortal power to its limit, she could ascend to the peak of enlightenment, undergoing a life and death trial, either perishing or entering the peak of enlightenment stage. The appearance of MEIG was a severe test for Liu Mi. Without the unintentional help of the three ancestors, Liu Mi could very well have been possessed by MEIG, becoming a body only capable of indulging in sensual pleasures. Therefore, in her eyes, Wang Lin was despicable. The unintentional help of the three ancestors forced MEIG to collapse and choose to merge. Thus, her life became a phantom of Liu Mi. At this moment, her realm of consciousness far surpassed Wang Lin's early stage of the life and death reincarnation realm of the nascent soul, and he naturally could not resist. The pink mist, which had filled an area of tens of thousands of miles, gradually contracted back into the valley. This contraction was finally completed the following day. The only thing was that the dust within the valley remained undissipated. From within the mist emanated enchanting, murmuring sounds. These sounds were filled with a wonderful feeling, like a gentle melody of a fairy, stirring emotions in anyone who heard them. After an unknown amount of time, the pink mist gradually dissipated, revealing the scene. A woman lay beside the altar, her eyes slowly regaining consciousness. Above the altar, the teleportation array emitted a faint aftershock, clearly indicating someone had just been teleported away. After a while, the pink mist completely vanished. The valley regained its former beauty. The woman sat up, her delicate eyebrows furrowed, and with a flick of her right hand, a storage bag flew from afar into her hand. Immediately, a white light flashed, and her naked body was clothed in white garments. She stood up, bowed her head, and glanced briefly at the reddish stains on the altar, falling silent. The illusory path of the heavens is heartless. The final illusion is unexpectedly this one. This illusion appeared, and the scene instantly transformed into the heavenly illusion of love and desire. Everything seemed like a dream, yet it felt so real. I never imagined that my heavenly illusion of heartlessness would achieve such a state. My master allowed my image to remain in his Tao heart. But I could never have imagined that even in my final illusion, his breath would be present. Her delicate eyebrows furrowed, and she looked into the distance, sighing softly. A deeply complex thought emerged from her sigh. A sudden feeling of bewilderment arose in her heart. All of this exceeded her previous expectations. Inside the vermilion bird tomb, on a desolate field, Wang Lin's figure suddenly flashed, appearing there. After appearing, he looked up at the sky, his eyes revealing a complex expression. When the pink dust mist enveloped him, he seemed to be trapped in a dream. A moment after waking up, seeing the woman beneath him, his heart was shaken. There are still things to do right now. Let's put Liu Mi's matter aside for now. Thinking about it too much is useless, oh? Wang Lin sighed softly, touching his temples, then entered the heaven-defying space. Inside, Li Muwan's nascent soul was slowly being nourished, gradually recovering. One day, she would awaken. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then his body moved slightly, disappearing from the spot and quickly flying towards the distance. The vermilion bird tomb was different from what Siju Nan had described. According to Siju Nan, the vermilion bird tomb wasn't large, with a mountain in the center. Within the mountain lay the vermilion bird seal, left behind by a generation of vermilion bird sons, and also the resting place of their remains. Each generation of vermilion birds, upon inheriting this title, had to cultivate in seclusion for several months within this place to obtain the inheritance of the vermilion bird seal. Wang Lin's divine consciousness spread out, sweeping across the area, but he couldn't determine the exact size of the entire place. However, as soon as his divine consciousness swept across, he detected a very powerful aura. This aura, upon detecting Wang Lin's divine consciousness, immediately manifested itself as if challenging him. Wang Lin's heart stirred slightly. Within this aura were the souls of spirits condensed into spiritual creatures. Clearly, the more spiritual creatures there were inside the vermilion bird tomb, the stronger their power. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he focused his attention on the direction, launching himself forward at top speed. His first priority was that spiritual mountain, the central location. He knew his time was running out. Once the cultivation star collapsed completely, only by using Siju Nan's method could he save himself. This cultivation star was extremely powerful, a privilege granted by the Cultivation Alliance to the strongest 6th-level cultivation nations. Only cultivators who reached the peak-seeking realm could pass the peak-seeking and morning-seeking Dao, and in their enlightenment of the twilight-slaying technique, have the opportunity to extract the soul from the cultivation star. However, each generation of vermilion bird sons is unable to reclaim their soul. Once reclaimed, they immediately lose the right to use the vermilion bird seal. In a sense, this can be understood as losing the title of vermilion bird son. But not all peak-level cultivators can succeed. The success rate is only 50%. Only those who can reach a realm above peak level, or a 5-level cultivation nation that has upgraded to 6th level, can unstoppably reclaim the soul of the cultivator from that nation and take it away from the cultivation planet. The fact that the soul of the cloud-level vermilion bird son was not successfully reclaimed, in fact, includes the immortal tribe on vermilion bird star. No one born there has ever been able to reclaim their soul. The fundamental reason for all of this is largely related to the fact that the cultivation star was sealed by Siju Nan. The sealing of the cultivation star, while preventing the vermilion bird son from using it to control vermilion bird star, also severed all possibility of peak-level cultivators reclaiming their souls. Some powerful, even 7th and 8th level cultivation planets, except for peak-level cultivators who could retrieve their life souls, some powerful sects, and a few extremely powerful sects comparable to a 6th level cultivation planet, all have different methods to circumvent the restrictions of the cultivation planet. Otherwise, the entire Cultivation Alliance would not have wars and conflicts. At this moment, within the endless starry sky, there is a huge planet. Looking down from the sky, countless streaks of sword light flash out from within this planet. They are not fighting, but are rushing to escape. This entire cultivation planet is enormous, dozens of times larger than the vermilion bird star. The number of ordinary people on this planet far exceeds that of the vermilion bird star, therefore, the number of cultivators is naturally also much greater. Surrounding this enormous cultivation planet are 5 smaller planets. They fly around the main planet, and there are also many cultivators on them. Further out, there are several smaller planets scattered around, each protected by massive formations. The largest planet is called the Heavenly Fortune Star. 5 slightly smaller planets surrounding it are level 7 cultivation planets, dependent on the Heavenly Fortune Star. As for the even smaller planets, they are the personal residences of some powerful old masters. No one is allowed to enter without the master's invitation. Compared to the Heavenly Fortune Star, the vermilion bird star is insignificant, far too small. There are many sects on the Heavenly Fortune Star, but the most renowned is the Heavenly Fortune Sect. The Heavenly Fortune Sect values all worldly fortunes and destines as something inevitable, something that cannot be forced or avoided. The subordinate sects also possess a sense of celestial aura. The person who established this principle is someone whom the vast majority of cultivators on the Heavenly Fortune Star deeply respect and fear. His name was Tia Yunzi. At this moment, within the Tia Yun sect, Tia Yunzi, who had been closing his eyes, suddenly opened them. His face was gentle, his silver hair flowing freely, yet he didn't appear old. On the contrary, he exuded an otherworldly aura. His eyes, in particular, shone brighter than those of some young men. There wasn't a trace of death on him, only boundless vitality. His residence was the Yongshan Pavilion within the Tai Yun sect. At this moment, a strange light flickered in his eyes as he softly murmured, "That year, while visiting an old friend, I passed through a somewhat desolate cultivation planet and encountered someone. He only had the nascent soul cultivation level, but he had comprehended the meaning of reincarnation and death, and unexpectedly wanted to reverse the origin of reincarnation. Not many people can do that. Out of consideration for his considerable cultivation, I took him as a 100-year registered disciple. Today, I suddenly had some enlightenment, and I fear he will soon arrive here. I wonder what his current cultivation level is. If he hasn't reached the late nascent soul stage yet, even if he does come here, it would be very disappointing for me." Tai Yunzi pondered for a moment, gently shook his head, and closed his eyes again. Inside the Vermilion Bird Tomb, Wang Lin's speed was quite slow, and his divine consciousness didn't spread out too much. There were many spirit beasts with life souls here, some of which were quite troublesome for Wang Lin to deal with. Without using the 10 billion Venerable Soul banner, he wouldn't be able to cope. With extreme caution, Wang Lin flew swiftly, turning around and changing direction whenever he detected danger. This slowed his journey. One day, two towering mountains caught Wang Lin's eye. Between them stretched a winding path, seemingly without end. A dense forest surrounded the mountain pass. Wang Lin stood beneath the mountains, lost in thought for a moment, his eyes flashing. He had been traveling within the Vermilion Bird Tomb for several days, observing that this was the central point of his route. However, along the way, Wang Lin clearly sensed that the deeper he went, the more numerous the spirit beasts and soul creatures became. Most of them were powerful beings, far beyond Wang Lin's ability to provoke. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin moved slightly, slowly making his way towards the winding path between the two mountains. With each step, he remained vigilant, constantly observing his surroundings. The spirit beast's soul constantly changes, capable of transforming into any form. A slight carelessness could lead to an attack. Walking along the small path, Wang Lin looked at the two cliffs on either side. He saw that they were damp, incredibly smooth, and even seemed to be drizzling. After walking several dozen meters, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed, and he inwardly exclaimed, "Something's wrong." He carefully examined the cliffs on either side of the mountain, his eyes flashing. If this place was damp year-round, then surely vines and other creatures would be growing here. After all, along the way, the Vermilion Bird Tomb was no different from the outside world. But the dampness here seemed to have just appeared. Wang Lin's right index finger flashed like lightning towards the cliff on one side. A spiritual light flashed, immediately penetrating about a third of the rock, forming a small hole 10 meters deep. Half a meter inside the hole was damp, but the other half was very dry. Wang Lin didn't stop, his body instantly retreated, leaving the winding path in an instant. As soon as he moved away, all the raindrops falling on the cliffs on either side of the mountain strangely seeped out from the rock. Each droplet was as clear as a crystal, suspended in the air above the path. The number of these dense raindrops was probably no less than 100,000, each representing a soul. In front of Wang Lin, these raindrops moved slightly, condensing together to form a humanoid object. Its body moved strangely, gradually solidifying, finally transforming into a woman. This woman had an ordinary appearance, but a strange aura emanated from her. She coldly stared at Wang Lin and said, "You cannot enter." Wang Lin slowly retreated. If there was a soul he least wanted to provoke, it was the water soul that formed the spirit creature. This type of spirit beast, is the most difficult to deal with among all spirit beasts. Although this spirit beast currently only possesses the cultivation level of the nascent soul stage, it is still very difficult to handle. Water, existing between heaven and earth, is constantly shifting and dispersing. Even sealing and imprisoning it is very difficult to completely encompass it. A few days ago, Wang Lin encountered a water spirit beast, and dealing with it was too difficult. In the end, he had no choice but to give up and take a detour. Therefore, after discovering the presence of a water element soul here, Wang Lin retreated without hesitation. As he retreated, he also released his divine consciousness, spreading it deep into the valley. Previously, he was worried about causing unnecessary trouble, so he hadn't spread his consciousness widely. But now, with the water element soul present, he immediately released it. Immediately afterward, Wang Lin's expression changed slightly. Deep inside, he saw a person he knew. This person was fighting a rather powerful water element soul. Between the two, he was slightly gaining the upper hand. However, after witnessing the water element soul fighting the other person, Wang Lin inexplicably felt a sense of mental connection. This feeling wasn't profound, but it was distinctly present. Wang Lin's heart stirred slightly, and he stepped back. The woman, formed from the water element soul, saw Wang Lin retreat and immediately transformed into countless droplets of water, flying towards the depths of the valley. Wang Lin stood outside the valley, lost in thought for a moment. Something's not right. Why does the water element soul deep within the valley give me such a strange feeling? I'm not a water spirit root. My element soul can't be a water element soul. That's really bizarre. Wang Lin frowned, hesitating outside the valley for a moment. Just as he was about to leave, his expression suddenly changed, and he turned sharply. In that instant, a sudden pang of pain struck him. It seemed as if a life form deep within the valley was calling out to him with a faint voice. Wang Lin's expression changed drastically. He understood now. Wang was inside the heaven-defying pearl, which was located at the center of Wang Lin's primordial spirit's forehead. Therefore, he could naturally sense Li Muwen's life soul. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with cold light. At this moment, without hesitation, he moved slightly, transforming into an arc, tearing through the wine towards the depths of the valley. As soon as he entered the valley, the figure of the woman transformed from the water life soul, who had left earlier, reappeared, blocking Wang Lin's path. The woman's right hand swung forward, and a large amount of water vapor instantly filled the small path. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. While flying rapidly through the air, without a word, he potted his storage bag. The immortal sword appeared in his hand, which he suddenly threw out, simultaneously letting out a low growl, and placing his left hand on his forehead. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's body paused for a moment, his eyes closed, and unexpectedly, his primordial spirit flashed from the top of his head, soaring out and transforming into a massive 10-jang-tall divine consciousness. Moving at a speed several times faster than lightning, it chased after the sword immortal, charging forward with a frenzied roar. Almost instantly, Wang Lin's primordial spirit directly entered the body of the woman formed from the water element soul. The sword immortal swept across, piercing the woman's chest. The woman let out a pained groan, her entire soul immediately collapsing and scattering. But Wang Lin's primordial spirit had already entered her body. The moment she scattered, his primordial spirit split from 1 into 2, from 2 into 4, from 4 into 8. With incredible speed, it transformed into countless fragments, each entering a different soul. At the same time, a soft shout emanated from within Wang Lin's primordial spirit. Seal. Immediately, various restrictions emanated from Wang Lin's primordial spirit, sealing all the existing raindrops one by one. Having completed this, his primordial spirit instantly flew out from each raindrop, rapidly entering Wang Lin's body as it flew forward. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with brilliance. After his primordial spirit returned to his body, he summoned his right hand, and the immortal sword immediately flew into his grasp. Like lightning, he instantly left the area, rushing towards the depths of the valley. Not long after Wang Lin departed, the sealed raindrops began to emit popping sounds. These raindrops turned into vapor, which then coalesced, once again forming the figure of the woman. For a water element soul, the seal could only temporarily imprison it. It couldn't completely seal it. The woman's eyes flashed with ferocity. With a slight movement, she transformed into a wisp of mist, chasing after him into the depths of the valley. Wang Lin's speed was incredibly fast, In just a few flashes, he had reached the depths of the valley. There, he saw a hunched old man with a gloomy expression. Before him, countless runes flickered with a dark light. These runes formed a large circle, within which was a mass of water formed from the water element soul. This water mass seemed to be boiling and swirling. Above the old man's forehead was a strange, 8-leaf tree. A powerful force of runes emanated fiercely from him. I cannot kill you, but I can refine your life soul. You will need time to solidify again. Therefore, you will not have time to pursue me, the hunched old man said. This old man is none other than Shan Dizi, the one who chased Wang Lin into the spatial rift all those years ago. He had used the connection of the ancestral spirit talisman to be rescued by the clan members, and he harbored deep resentment towards Wang Lin. This fueled his slaughter when the immortal tribe fell into decline. He was the most prolific killer among the 8-leaf talisman masters. Wang Lin's appearance stunned the old man. Previously, he had fought against this water-life spirit, and even the slightest carelessness would weaken him, forcing him to focus all his attention on the battle. Moreover, Wang Lin's cultivation had far surpassed his own back then. He had now reached the early stage of the nascent soul realm. Therefore, the 7 elders had indeed failed to detect Wang Lin's whereabouts. It's you! After seeing Wang Lin, the old man's eyes immediately flashed with cold light, and he tilted his head back and laughed maniacally. His right hand extended a claw towards the talismans in front of him, and these talismans, which were trapping the water-life spirit, flew out, transforming into a dark light that struck towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin snorted coldly. After entering, he hardly stopped. In the blink of an eye, as the hunchbacked old man noticed him, his body transformed into a blur, suddenly appearing beside the water soul trapped by the circle of symbols. He raised the immortal sword in his hand and powerfully slashed down. A deafening explosion resounded. The circle of runes trapping the water soul immediately shattered into pieces, a mass of runes collapsing. The hunchbacked old man let out a loud shout, his body arcing forward towards Wang Lin, his hand unleashing a palm strike. A desolate rune appeared in his palm, emitting an eerie radiance. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. Without a word, his right hand extended a claw through the air, and the 10 billion venerable soul banner appeared in his hand. This 3-John-tall banner, even before the battle began, would instill a sense of dread in the opponent. The old man's attack slowed slightly. His mind trembled. He recognized the appearance of this massive banner somewhat and couldn't help but fall into horror. The soul banner in Wang Lin's hand trembled, immediately emitting a series of howling screams, like a heart-wrenching wail. A swarm of frenzied souls rushed out, especially a purple gold killin, which, upon appearing, tilted its head back and roared to the heavens. The sound echoed to the 9 heavens. After appearing, its body thrashed about, opening its blood-red mouth and lunging towards the old man. Behind this killin were more than 10 nascent soul stage main souls. As soon as they appeared, the entire valley was surrounded by these souls, all devouring the hunchbacked old man. The hunchbacked old man inwardly groaned in despair. Without hesitation, he quickly retreated. If there were only 1 or 2 nascent soul stage souls, he wouldn't be afraid at all. After all, souls are just souls, incomparable to true cultivators. Even if there were 3 to 5 nascent soul stage cultivators, he could still completely break free and leave. He could even fight on equal terms. But at this moment, the number of nascent soul stage cultivators was overwhelming. With his cultivation level, he simply couldn't contend with them, especially the head of the killin, which posed a significant threat to him. Just looking at this beast filled him with immense fear. Moreover, besides this number, there were over 100,000 other ordinary souls. Therefore, he dared not resist and could only retreat quickly. He never imagined that the young man he had chased away like a stray dog 100 years ago had not only reached the early nascent soul stage, but also possessed the legendary 10 billion soul banner, which struck fear into the hearts of the immortal tribe. The hunchbacked old man could even sense that a considerable portion of these ordinary souls contained a trace of immortal tribe aura. Thus, these were all members of the immortal tribe whose souls were extracted and refined back then. The moment the hunchbacked old man retreated, the woman who had been pursuing Wang Lin emerged from the small path in the valley. She looked at the scene in the valley, her eyes flashing. Her entire body transformed into mist, silently attacking the hunchbacked old man. Wang Lin didn't have time to worry about the hunchbacked old man. As soon as he unleashed the 10 billion soul banner, he wielded his immortal sword and furiously slashed down at the circle of runes. A series of thunderous sounds erupted. More and more runes surrounding the water-destined soul shattered. The water-destined soul within, which had been a mass of water, transformed back into a human form, becoming a woman. The moment Wang Lin saw this woman, his previously calm heart suddenly trembled. Her appearance vaguely resembled Li Muan. The woman inside let out a charming laugh, her entire body transforming into a cloud of steam as she flew out. Wang Lin had noticed her earlier. How could he let her escape? However, this woman's cultivation was far more profound than the water spirit beast that had previously stopped him, equivalent to a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. Moreover, with her immortal nature, even the hunchbacked old man, after exhausting all his options, could only resort to trapping her. As soon as the woman, somewhat resembling Li Muan, emerged, Wang Lin took a deep breath. His mind stirred, and countless souls around him continuously formed a dense mass. Among them, except for a few pursuing the old man, all the remaining nascent soul cultivators converged here. A powerful oppressive aura immediately permeated the surroundings. The woman's expression remained unchanged. She glanced around, then looked directly at Wang Lin, smiled slightly, and said, "You rescued me, and now you want to trap me again. What's the meaning of that?" Wang Lin's expression was icy cold as he calmly said, "Do you want to live or die?" Hearing this, the woman immediately burst into laughter, saying, "In here, no one can kill me. Even if they trap me, I can escape in a short time." A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he softly uttered, "Soul banner, merge." With that word, countless souls from all directions frantically merged together, rapidly converging towards the main soul. Almost instantly, the surrounding souls vanished, leaving only 6 main souls. Each one radiated an aura far exceeding the nascent soul stage, but still not reaching the peak stage. These 6 main souls surrounded the woman, their eyes icy cold, filled with chilling intent. "Kill," Wang Lin whispered. With that single word, the 6 merged main souls moved slightly, unleashing their divine abilities and attacking the woman. All that could be seen were fluctuations of magical power. The woman chuckled softly, her body soaring, transforming into swirling mist that dispersed in all directions with a roar. This was exactly what Wang Lin had been waiting for. Only when the opponent's body transformed into droplets of water or mist could he find Li Muan's soul within it. However, just as Wang Lin and the main soul were about to act, the entire valley suddenly shook. This shaking originated from the ground. Not just this place. At this moment, all the mountain ranges within the Vermilion Bird Tomb were shaking. This was an earthquake occurring throughout the entire Vermilion Bird Tomb. From this violent shaking, cracking sounds immediately echoed in the air above. Countless large, hand-sized cracks appeared in the air. Immediately, countless spatial rifts appeared frantically, and the cold wind blowing out from within could instantly freeze one's entire body. The spatial rift here is unlike the outside world. Even if one enters, as long as their cultivation reaches a certain level, they won't die. However, the spatial rift here only resembles the outside world in appearance. In reality, they are not spatial rifts, but a type of dimensional rift. This type of dimensional rift is created by the strange forces within the cultivation star. Even cultivators in the nascent soul stage who enter will have their souls instantly shattered and die without exception. The collapse of the center of the cultivation star also triggered the collapse of the entire cultivation star. The entire Vermilion Bird Tomb shattered into large pieces, collapsing everywhere. Countless cultivators who entered this place died instantly. Even spirit beasts with life souls, facing this most terrifying calamity, had only one path: death. The entire Vermilion Bird Tomb was suddenly enveloped in a thick atmosphere of death. The valley where Wang Lin stood could not escape, shattering into large chunks and turning into nothingness. Numerous dimensional rifts appeared, frantically devouring everything in their surroundings. Wang Lin first unleashed a soul banner, summoning all his soul fragments, and departed at an extremely fast speed. As for the life and death of the hunchbacked old man, Wang Lin had no time to worry about it at this moment. His gaze focused on the woman who somewhat resembled Li Muan. At this moment, the woman's face was filled with panic, and her eyes were filled with terror. Her body was slowly disintegrating. With a loud bang, her entire body transformed into countless droplets of water. These droplets shattered one after another. This was true death. Wang Lin's figure flashed like lightning, piercing through a dimensional rift, moving at an extremely fast speed towards the disintegrating droplets of water. His right hand extended a claw, seizing a transparent droplet of water. The moment Wang Lin touched the drop of water, he felt as if he had touched Li Muan. After catching the drop, Wang Lin immediately retreated, but a dimensional rift suddenly appeared silently in front of him. With a loud thud, a large piece of Wang Lin's robe was instantly devoured as if by a large mouth. Cold sweat poured from Wang Lin's forehead. After circling around it, Wang Lin finally escaped the valley. This tremor lasted for about 10 seconds. After this time, the vermilion bird tomb completely changed. Countless dimensional rifts appeared on the ground and in the air. In some places, simply attacking with spiritual power would cause the space to collapse. Anyone inside would instantly die. At this moment, the danger level of the vermilion bird tomb became even more severe. The collapse of the cultivation heart was not something that happened in an instant, but rather a gradual process. All of this was deliberately orchestrated by the vermilion bird. After the earthquake subsided, the valley where Wang Lin had just appeared was leveled. Everything vanished into thin air. The previous scene seemed like nothing more than a dream. The cold wind dispelled the cold sweat from Wang Lin's forehead. A chilling sensation also surged from the depths of Wang Lin's heart. He lowered his head and looked at the desolate wasteland below. There, arc-shaped cracks opened and closed. Wang Lin placed Li Muan's soul on his forehead, merging it into the heaven-defying void. He took a deep breath, his body moved slightly, and he flew towards the distance. While flying, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly flashed, stopping before a mountain range that had collapsed by more than half. There, on top of a pile of rubble, a hunched old man lay, only half his body remaining. His eyes were dull and lifeless, his primordial spirit extremely weak, struggling to escape from his body. During the 10-second-long catastrophe, a dimensional rift suddenly appeared, causing him to lose half his body, leaving only his primordial spirit and runes. The moment Wang Lin's gaze fell upon him, the old man's primordial spirit immediately sensed it, a hint of worrying appearing on its face. The old man's spirit flickered, completely escaping from his body and fleeing into the distance. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He snorted coldly and immediately pursued. The hunchbacked old man's primordial spirit was now extremely weak. Just as he was fleeing, a dark light suddenly flashed ahead, and an arc-shaped rift appeared silently. The old man let out a pained cry, trying to retreat, but it was too late. His entire primordial spirit was instantly devoured by the newly appeared dimensional rift. Then the rift disappeared, and the old man's primordial spirit vanished with it. Wang Lin stopped, silent, and looked up into the distance. The vermilion bird tomb, having recently collapsed, had become extremely dangerous. Even the slightest carelessness could lead to death. Wang Lin couldn't help but hesitate. After a moment, Wang Lin sighed softly and flew away into the distance. Vermilion Bird Star, Cultivation Demon Sea. A corner of the Cultivation Demon Sea had already been attacked by the Immortal Tribe. After all, this place bordered the Immortal Tribe. Moreover, without the millennia-old mist that never dissipated, the Cultivation Demon Sea no longer had a natural shield. Attacked by a group of cultivators, it became a chaotic mess, unable to resist the Immortal Tribe's assault, ultimately becoming a dependent state. In the Cultivation Demon Sea, outside the shattered star chaos, there was a man. His entire body was shrouded in a deathly aura, his face obscured. Around him flickered the illusory images of countless skeletons, densely packed like a forest of bones. He gazed at the shattered star chaos, his eyes showing hesitation. That bolt of heavenly tribulation wasn't summoned by an ancient cultivator. It was merely created by a junior refining an ancient magical artifact. I've searched all over the Vermilion Bird Star and haven't found a single ancient cultivator, and I'm feeling a bit hungry. This is the only place where I can sense the presence of an ancient cultivator. Unfortunately, this place is too dangerous. Should I even enter? The man pondered for a moment, his eyes suddenly flashing, then shook his head and muttered, "Well, I shouldn't throw away my life for the sake of gluttony. I've recovered somewhat in recent years, and it's time to leave Vermilion Bird Star. If Sichuanan finds me in my current state, I certainly won't be able to fight him." A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he muttered, "I wonder how my old friend, Sword Venerable Ling Jia, is doing on Heavenly Fortune Star. Going there would be good. Perhaps I can persuade him to leave the mountain and help me deal with Sichuan and find out the whereabouts of that mysterious pearl. At that moment, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he calmly said into the distance, "You're still as secretive as ever, Breaking Army. Long time no see." A hoarse laugh echoed from within the void, and immediately the horizon darkened. A massive expanse of seawater unexpectedly appeared in the sky, surging forward with the force of a mighty army. Above this expanse of seawater, a man in a blue robe strode forward, treading on the spray. His robe was embroidered with a delicate golden silk pattern, exquisitely crafted. "Tham Ling, do you intend to attack this place?" The man's appearance was unremarkable, but his eyes gleamed with a sinister light. The figure shrouded in deathly aura snorted softly, saying, "I'm tired of seeing your face. If you like this place, then come in. I'm leaving." With that, his body flicked, disappearing from the spot, transforming into a black arc that shot towards the horizon, his figure vanishing into the distance. The man standing on the sea revealed a pensive look in his eyes. His body moved slightly, stopping outside the shattered star chaos. The seawater beneath his feet immediately condensed into a dark blue crystal. After landing, he swallowed this crystal. How strange, this greedy Volf wouldn't go anywhere without treasure. Wherever he goes, there must be some rare treasure. 10,000 years ago, when I came to this vermilion bird star, he stayed here for an unknown amount of time. Even though he said it was to heal his wounds, it still arouses suspicion. Could it really be because of this place? The man pondered for a moment, then moved slightly and entered the shattered star chaos. Deep within the ancient god's land, where a single stone mace stood above a sea of blood, stood a man with blood-red hair. His head, which had been held high, suddenly lowered, his hair flying wildly, revealing an unparalleled ferocity. Especially his two blood-red eyes, which struck fear into all living creatures who looked at him. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Another one has arrived. The day I, Wang Lin, escaped this predicament is very, very near. Wang Lin, you must absolutely safeguard my inherited memories, waiting for me to come and reclaim them. Without my inherited power, even your memories are useless. Moreover, your inherited memories are incomplete. There is another inherited memory crystal in my possession. For many years, I have searched everywhere in the ancient god land, sparing no effort, and finally found the last, carefully hidden inherited memory crystal. After merging with it, I have learned many things. In recent years, I have often been able to sense a strange force slowly growing within this planet, not much different from the growth of a child of my ancient god clan. As you cultivators call this force, the cultivation star. Through it, a crack appeared in the seal, so with the soul swap technique, I could leave this place. All of this is thanks to TUT. That year, he chose to leave his clone here. Unexpectedly, some of the natives revered him as a god. This was recorded in the final crystallized memory inheritance, and I also know that TUT repaid them by building places of ancient god sacrifice. Although tens of thousands of years have passed, and the natives have long since died out, the immortal tribe, hidden in a deep place, is the last indigenous tribe that still has places of ancient god sacrifice. There, I can still briefly display some divine abilities. There, a young immortal tribe member sleeps soundly for years. To obtain the cultivation essence, I spared no expense, secretly helping the young member of the wild tribe reach the 11th leaf level, allowing the entire tribe to break free from the seal and join the ranks of cultivators. All of this is proceeding according to my plan. The cultivation star land has finally opened. Wang Lin, my messenger, has met you. Although your cultivation has become much stronger, how could I, Lin, forget you? Your appearance, your divine consciousness, are deeply etched in my heart. No matter where you run, I can find you. Lin looked up at the sky and laughed loudly. His laughter echoed throughout the sea of blood, causing the waves to surge and rise in a torrent, wave after wave. His eyes flashed with a red light, seemingly several times denser than the sea of blood itself. Wang Lin, the day I, Lin, escape this predicament, I will devour your inheritance. I will be an ancient god, an 8-star ancient god. By then, who in this entire starry sky will be my opponent? Following Lin's laughter, several sizzling sounds emanated from within the sea of blood. Only 2 small monkeys were seen peeking their heads out of the sea of blood, leaping towards Thak Lam. In the eyes of these 2 small monkeys, an eerie red light emanated. At this very moment, inside the vermilion bird tomb, the old man let out a sinister laugh, his eyes gleaming red. A small monkey lay prone on his shoulder, its eyes emitting an increasingly intense red light. The monkey let out a cry, the red light in the old man's eyes dissipated, and he turned to look into the distance, his red aura instantly brightening. "He's coming!" The old man's body moved slightly, stepping forward. Just then, the monkey on his shoulder let out a low growl. The old man's footsteps suddenly halted. He remained silent for a moment, then turned and left. His target was the center of the vermilion bird tomb. As the old man turned away, the monkey turned its head to look behind it, the red aura in its eyes constantly flashing. The old man's speed was extremely fast. The dimensional rifts that appeared before him seemed to be known in advance, easily flashing past him. Despite his speed, he didn't encounter any danger. Not long after the old man left, a wine-tearing arc shot towards him. Wang Lin frowned, looking in the direction the old man had disappeared, his eyes showing a thoughtful expression. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then stood up and flew towards the distance. Along the way, he was very cautious, his divine consciousness spreading out. He was very troubled by the dimensional rifts that appeared silently and without warning. Because of them, he couldn't increase his speed, only able to walk slowly. 2 days later, as Wang Lin was flying, he passed through a void, his gaze sweeping across the distance. In a basin ahead, there was a surge of metal-piercing energy, one piercing straight up into the sky, like the sword light of a sharp sword. One metal-piercing energy, a surge of energy that can pierce through iron and steel. His divine consciousness swept across the area. There were no fewer than tens of thousands of pits, connected to form a vast expanse, stretching as far as the eye could see. Inside each pit was a long sword. Although only half of it was visible, the sword light was incredibly heavy. Upon entering, Wang Lin could clearly sense the dense sword intent. Golden life soul. Wang Lin fell silent. He had been in the vermilion bird tomb for quite some time, and everything within it was far different from what Sijunan had described. Wang Lin wasn't a fool. By today, he had formed his own analysis of these phenomena. "I'm afraid this vermilion bird tomb is actually the cultivation star. At this moment, although I'm in the vermilion bird tomb, I'm also in the cultivation star. That's why I can encounter so many life soul spirit creatures. Therefore, it's possible that the collapse of the cultivation star caused these strange cracks to appear here. This collapse is the collapse of the cultivation star." Wang Lin's expression was grim as he gazed at the depressions before him. These were merely his analyses and conjectures, and he couldn't be entirely certain. Therefore, he wanted to go to the center to see if there was a spirit mountain there. If there was, then his conjectures were wrong. If not, Wang Lin could confirm that this place was indeed the cultivation star. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, his divine consciousness sweeping across the area, and suddenly his heart trembled. At the center of this land full of pits was a massive pit, surrounded by a layer of icy coldness that emitted light. Inside, it was a deep blue, making it impossible to see anything. However, the sword energy within was incredibly heavy, as if it could pierce through heaven and earth, emanating a domineering aura. This aura was something ordinary swords could never produce. Wang Lin was not unfamiliar with this aura. He had witnessed something similar firsthand in the immortal realm. How could such a treasure exist here? Wang Lin's eyes flashed. The largest pit before him was vast, and entering from the surrounding area would take a considerable amount of time. Moreover, there were undoubtedly other spirit beasts and soulbound creatures on all sides, each equally dangerous. The object inside the center of the depression gave him a familiar feeling. This feeling wasn't from a specific soul, but rather a general sense of familiarity. After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin walked step by step into this area full of depressions. But when he had gone 10 feet in, a sudden, intense chill emanated from the nearest depression. The sword stuck in the bottom of this basin suddenly roared and shot up from the ground. It was an extremely ordinary sword, about 3 feet long, about 2 fingers wide, its entire body silver, the tip pointing towards Wang Lin, emitting a buzzing sound. "Get out!" A very arrogant divine thought, full of pride, came from the sword's ringing sound too. To sword ringing, sound emitted from the sword. The spiritual object formed from the metal soul is surprisingly of the same type as the sword soul. When Wang Lin sensed the divine consciousness of that sword, his eyes lit up, and he thought to himself, the sword intent emanating from the central basin is extremely similar to the sword immortal I encountered in the immortal realm all those years ago. He potted his storage bag with his right hand, and the sword immortal immediately appeared in his hand. As soon as the sword immortal appeared, the arrogant sword before him instantly dimmed like a firefly in the moonlight. Sulaguo! Wang Lin shouted softly. A black mist emerged from the sword immortal, and the figure of Sulaguo materialized from it. As soon as he appeared, his eyes stared intently at the arrogant sword, and he laughed heartily, saying, "Nephew, your grandfather Su only became a sword spirit halfway through." Before he could finish speaking, the sword trembled, and without hesitation, it immediately retreated, flying rapidly into the distance. This scene stunned Sulaguo, but he immediately became arrogant, saying, "Running. Do you think your Grandpa Su will let you run?" After saying that, his body moved slightly, and he quickly chased after them with his immortal sword. A sword spirit naturally needs another sword spirit to restrain it, Wang Lin said in a low voice, stepping forward. With Sulaguo leading the way, wherever Wang Lin passed, all the swords inside the pits rushed out one after another, and upon seeing Sulaguo, they all immediately fled. This scene was extremely bizarre. It seemed that all the swords were very afraid of Sulaguo. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, calmly observing the scene, and leisurely walked forward. At this moment, Sulaguo was extremely excited, constantly roaring and howling, his immortal sword flying from side to side, sometimes roaring loudly. A precious sword suddenly roared out from the ground, flying towards the center of the pit. There, these flying swords immediately stopped fleeing and hovered in midair, scattering intense sword intent and cold light. With unstoppable force, Wang Lin followed behind Sulaguo, rapidly flying towards the center of this place. There weren't many dimensional rifts here. Along the way, Wang Lin only encountered 3. It was clear that the initial collapse of the cultivation star had only occurred in a few places and hadn't yet affected this area. The deeper they went, the fewer dimensional rifts they encountered. Wang Lin almost reached his full speed, like a shooting star, piercing through the air towards the central pit. An hour later, from afar, countless swords could be seen in the air above the enormous central pit, emitting bursts of sword light. Even before getting close, Wang Lin could feel the terrifying sword energy emanating from it. Sulaguo's movements flowed, and he dared not advance further. He looked back at Wang Lin and said ingratiatingly, "Boss, look, I haven't been lazy at all along the way, helping you chase all the sword spirits to this place. Now that I have nothing to do, why don't I return to the sword? I'll come out after you destroy that sword spirit." Having said that, Sulaguo hurriedly tried to shrink back into the sword immortal. However, before he could return halfway, Wang Lin grabbed the sword immortal and threw it forward. He was also pulled along, flying towards the area filled with swords. Sulaguo screamed, his entire body instantly returning to the sword, controlling it, intending to escape. "If you don't destroy this place for me, keeping you here is useless." Wang Lin's voice was icy cold, echoing around Sulaguo. He silently groaned in distress, cursing Wang Lin incessantly. But at this moment, he dared not flee anymore, gritting his teeth and relentlessly charging towards the cluster of treasure swords above the pit with his sword. He roared, his sword echoing through the immortal sword, creating an earth-shattering sword cry. This sword cry shook the 9 heavens. Under this sound, the treasure swords above the pit immediately parted, creating a passage. At this moment, the dark blue mist inside the pit swirled incessantly, and at the same time, a crescent moon saber slowly flew out from within. A hint of disappointment appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He had clearly sensed an aura similar to that of an immortal realm artifact. His first thought was that he would strike it rich. Although he didn't think this was likely, the feeling remained strong. Unfortunately, the object before him didn't bring immense wealth, but rather a crescent saber. From ancient times to the present, swords and blades have always been renowned, but blades possess arrogance and ferocity. Ordinary iron and steel wouldn't be a factor. Only when they acquire sentience, becoming a soul-infused entity, can they easily coalesce. Even more unexpectedly, they could inspire such reverence from countless sword spirits. This is absolutely no ordinary object. However, although extraordinary, this object is also formed from many life spirits, making it fundamentally impossible to obtain. Even if held in hand, upon leaving this place and losing the strange restraining power of the cultivation star, it would instantly shatter, transforming into life spirits and returning to its starting point. Wang Lin sighed inwardly, raising his hand to summon the sword immortal back and leave this place. Suddenly, his eyes became serious, a strange light flashing as he stared intently at the crescent-shaped blade. No, this blade spirit isn't formed from many life spirits. It's just one life spirit. Wang Lin took a deep breath. After entering the Vermilion Bird Tomb, encountering many spirit beasts with life souls, most of these were formed from multiple life souls, condensed together. Never before had a spirit beast transformed from a single life soul, except for this sword spirit before them. When the crescent-shaped sword flew out from the pit, the surrounding swords immediately emitted sword cries as if in submission, like subjects bowing before the emperor, retreating backward. Inside the sword immortal, after seeing this crescent-shaped sword, Sulaguo immediately became nervous. He was inherently timid, and now witnessing the other sword spirits behaving this way, he hesitated for a moment, wanting to bow in reverence but also fearing Wang Lin. He trembled, causing the sword immortal's body to tremble as well. The crescent-shaped saber flashed, appearing beside the immortal sword with unbelievable speed. A clear clang rang out, and the immortal sword was instantly flung several meters away, yet it remained completely undamaged, as perfect as before. Sulaguo shouted, and without hesitation, pulled the immortal sword towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. He knew Sulaguo was cowardly, but he didn't expect him to be so afraid to fight and instead flee. Wang Lin summoned with his right hand, his mind guiding the immortal sword, which instantly flew back into his hand. The crescent-shaped saber flashed, quickly giving chase. Wang Lin immediately retreated, and the immortal sword in his hand flashed out, its sword light roaring as it collided with the crescent-shaped saber. With a loud bang, the saber remained undamaged, instead emitting a chilling aura. At the same time, a divine thought emanated from the crescent-shaped saber. Its soul remains. You, get out. After the divine thought was transmitted, the crescent-shaped saber flashed, transforming into a massive saber about 10 meters long, slashing down. Immediately, a saber light, like the splitting of heaven and earth, roared towards him. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and as he retreated, the immortal sword in his hand blocked in front of him. The saber light slashed down, and with a loud bang, Wang Lin's body was instantly thrown far away. He used this force, without stopping, to continue retreating. The attack power of that crescent-shaped saber was no less than a full-force attack from a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Without using the 10 billion venerable soul banner, Wang Lin could not withstand it. Wang Lin's speed was extremely fast. The direction he fled was not the same as before, but the opposite direction, directly piercing through the huge pit and flying rapidly into its depths. Divine thoughts emanated from the crescent-shaped saber. Immediately, the swords above emitted a resounding clang, relentlessly pursuing Wang Lin. Wang Lin flew at incredible speed, directly piercing through the craters. Countless swords chased after him frantically. The crescent-shaped saber behind him occasionally emitted saber light, howling as it charged forward. Wang Lin had already retrieved his immortal sword. He unleashed his full speed, quickly fleeing. In front of him, a sword shot out from the crater, forming a pincer attack from north and south, stabbing towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed and his right hand extended a claw-like motion. Instantly, the 10 billion soul banner appeared in his hand. He shook it, enveloping his entire body in the banner, transforming into a swirling black smoke, and his speed increased several times. The sword thrusting forward instantly deflected, changing direction and relentlessly pursuing him. Behind Wang Lin, a dense, seemingly endless mass of swords emanated. Sword light filled the sky, roaring through the heavens and earth. The icy aura radiating from these precious swords caused the surrounding temperature to plummet, even creating a chilling mist. At this moment, the only sound was the clash of swords, an earth-shattering roar that shook the entire 9 provinces. It seemed as if the sky itself was about to collapse, and the earth itself was about to tremble. This immense spectacle was so powerful that almost all cultivators within tens of thousands of miles noticed it. Many figures flashed towards the scene, wanting to see what was happening. Each sword was accompanied by a sword cry and a flash of icy light. Now they converged, transforming into an ancient immortal sword. Sword energy swirled, flashing in all directions around Wang Lin. Under the protection of the soul banner, Wang Lin flashed like a wisp of smoke, soaring forward. Even so, numerous sword beams still struck, but they were all blocked by the soul banner. Only when the blade of the Azure Crescent blade struck did Wang Lin unleash his immortal sword to intercept. His incredibly fast and exhilarating flight brought back memories of his past, when his cultivation was weak and he was being hunted by everyone. Just then, two arcs suddenly appeared in front of Wang Lin. However, thousands of miles away, these two arcs suddenly stopped, clearly sensing the strangeness of the place, quickly changing direction and escaping. Wang Lin looked up at the sky and laughed loudly, slightly turning his head to glance at the vast expanse of countless treasure swords relentlessly pursuing him from behind. Especially the mysterious and unpredictable Azure Crescent blade that occasionally flashed within them. His body flashed, instantly teleporting, appearing thousands of miles away. However, as soon as his figure appeared, the pursuing swords unexpectedly flashed, shattering the void, as if directly piercing through space, continuing their pursuit. A rumbling sound echoed across the land, unexpectedly showing a faint sign of the world of the cultivation star shattering. The two arcs immediately sped away, and Wang Lin recognized the two people inside them at a glance. These two were also people he knew. Seeing the man's ears, Wang Lin recognized him as Chu Tai. As for the woman, her face was covered with a thin black veil. A quick glance, and Wang Lin's eyes flashed, recognizing her identity. "Brother Chu, don't rush. Wait for me a moment." Although Wang Lin was being pursued by countless swords, his expression remained calm, and he laughed loudly. Chu Tai's face turned ugly, muttering to himself, "What bad luck." He pretended not to hear or see Wang Lin's words, instead increasing his speed. As for the veiled woman, after seeing Wang Lin, a hint of fear appeared in her eyes, and she gritted her teeth and immediately fled. Thus, Chu Tai and the other person were in front, Wang Lin in the middle, and behind them was a dense, overwhelming mass of sword light, especially the crescent-shaped saber, which occasionally unleashed a saber strike. The saber strike was what Wang Lin feared most. Each time it appeared, he quickly dodged. This crescent-shaped saber was extremely strange. While Wang Lin fled, his divine sense constantly observed it. He discovered that whenever the saber's speed increased too much, a strange force would appear around it, slightly slowing it down. Otherwise, it would have quickly caught up with Wang Lin. During this process, all three of them were moving at their fastest speed. 3 incense sticks later, the boundary between this swampy area and the outside world appeared in sight. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he instantly teleported, disappearing from his spot and reappearing beside this boundary. After reappearing, he didn't stop but flew towards the distance. Chu Tai hesitated slightly, then immediately pursued Wang Lin. As for the veiled woman, her eyes flashed, and she changed direction, separating from Chu Tai. The flying swords that had been pursuing them immediately stopped. Only the crescent-shaped saber remained unwavering, flashing and directly rushing out of the area. After leaving the area, the crescent-shaped saber's speed suddenly increased dramatically. The strange force enveloping it seemed to weaken, causing its speed to increase unbelievably. Almost instantly, the crescent-shaped saber passed Chu Tai and headed directly towards Wang Lin. Cold sweat broke out on Chu Tai's forehead. Just now, when the crescent-shaped blade flashed past him, he was almost imperceptible. He only felt a whirlwind sweeping past, and when he looked up, he only saw a black dot disappearing. What kind of spirit beast is this? Its speed is too fast, at least dozens of times faster than before. Chu Tai was terrified, pondered for a moment, and then flew forward again. Wang Lin's flying speed had to slow down because after passing through the area with depressions, more dimensional rifts appeared. He paused for a moment, standing on the peak of a mountain. Looking ahead, in the distance, there was a mountain emitting 7-colored light. The appearance of this mountain was exactly the same as Siju Nan's description of the Spirit Mountain. Almost instantly, as Wang Lin's body paused, a thunderous sound erupted behind him. Wang Lin, already prepared, flashed and teleported 1,000 feet away. With a deafening roar, the mountain where he had just stood collapsed. Amidst the flying debris, a dark blue light flashed, and the crescent-shaped saber shot out again. At the same time, a divine sense emanated from the saber. Its stay. Wang Lin's body flashed again, feeling a burning pain in his left arm. When he reappeared 1,000 feet away, his sleeve was torn, and a wound appeared on his arm. Such speed! After reappearing, Wang Lin didn't stop, teleporting again. He didn't dare teleport too far, lest a dimensional rift appear around him. which would be extremely dangerous. Therefore, as soon as the blue light flashed, Wang Lin disappeared, and the spot instantly shattered. This azure crescent blade seemed to have gone mad, relentlessly pursuing him. Wang Lin flashed, appearing over 100 miles away. As soon as he reappeared, he moved to the side. A dimensional rift beside him slowly opened its arc-shaped mouth. Wang Lin moved several meters. The blue light flashed again, and from where he had previously teleported, a fierce gale rushed straight towards him. All matter, earth, and mountains in its path collapsed. Even the dimensional rifts that had appeared in the blue light's path crumbled. Seeing this, Wang Lin's scalp tingled, and without a word, he teleported again. His right foot burned with pain, and blood gushed out. After appearing 10 miles away, Wang Lin immediately touched his right foot with his right hand. The wound closed, and the bleeding stopped. What kind of magical artifact is this? A greedy glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He had only witnessed such speed from the fourth soul of the 10 billion venerable soul banner. He made a comparison. The speeds of these two separate magical artifacts were somewhat comparable. However, the attack power of this crescent-shaped saber was clearly stronger. An arm pierced by it might not be fatal, but if it flashed again, the head could be severed. That object is composed of only one soul essence. Whose soul essence is it that it could give birth to such an incredibly powerful golden spirit artifact? That object is truly a treasure. Wang Lin's body flashed again, disappearing from the spot, and another collapse occurred. The speed of the crescent-shaped saber increased rapidly, and Wang Lin's reaction speed gradually couldn't keep up with it. A slight carelessness could result in injury. At this moment, he finally understood why the vermilion bird was so wary of the fourth soul essence back then. I must obtain this object. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he immediately drew his immortal sword and shot out. Suliguo, inside the sword, was thrown out. Suliguo, you'll have to endure this humiliation for a while. Consider him the ancestor of the giant demon clan, Li Cheng. After I retrieve the soul essence, I will definitely come to your rescue. After Wang Lin finished speaking, Suliguo's body instantly flew into the air. Suliguo groaned, trying to escape, but the crescent-shaped saber flashed, appearing beside him, wrapping around his body, and instantly disappearing without a trace. From afar came Suliguo's mournful, terrified cries. "Master, you mustn't forget to save me." Wang Lin held the immortal sword, his eyes flickering. He and Suliguo shared a telepathic connection, able to sense Suliguo's location. Moreover, he considered that the saber spirit within the crescent-shaped saber didn't intend to harm Suliguo. It must have other intentions. Furthermore, Suliguo himself was a demon, existing by devouring, not easily destroyed. At this moment, Wang Lin had other matters to attend to and couldn't continue the struggle with the crescent-shaped saber. With Suliguo as a base, he could find him again later, and there would be plenty of time to think of a way to subdue it. Retrieving his immortal sword, Wang Lin looked at the distant Ling Mountain and leapt up. But at this moment, Wang Lin's expression subtly changed as he looked towards a mountain not far away. There stood a figure in pink. That figure exuded emptiness and loneliness. She stood there, her pink like a butterfly, her emotions carried away by the wind, as if reluctantly entering the mortal world. Hong Dai, where Hong Dai is, there will surely be Qian Feng's presence. Wang Lin's gaze was as steady as a mountain, scanning the surroundings. Qian Feng's cultivation was at the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. With Wang Lin's divine sense, if he deliberately concealed it, it would be difficult to detect him. Wang Lin calmly looked at Hong Dai, clasped his hands, and said in a loud voice, "Hong Dai, fellow Taoist, long time no see." The pink figure on the mountain peak not far away revealed an air of profound solitude. She gazed deeply at Wang Lin, her figure flashed, and she directly leapt down from the mountaintop, instantly appearing 100 yards away from Wang Lin. Upon approaching, the emptiness and despondency in Hong Dai's eyes immediately caught Wang Lin's attention. Wang Lin's expression turned grim. Although he had long known about Hong Dai's past actions and had even sensed her presence during his battle with Qian Feng on the border with the Vermilion Bird Continent, this was the first time he had truly met her since their last fight. From Hong Dai's eyes, Wang Lin saw only a profound stillness. At this moment, Hong Dai was still as beautiful as before, but she no longer possessed the arrogance and pride of a great woman. Back then, Hong Dai was a great prodigy of the Snow Region Kingdom, a talent who could reach the god transformation stage within 100 years. In her eyes, Wang Lin was nothing more than an ant. The animosity between them had gradually grown, eventually leading to a battle. Even so, Wang Lin still respected Hong Dai in his heart. This kind of respect was an acknowledgement that someone was worthy of being his opponent. At this moment, seeing his past rival meet such a fate made Wang Lin sigh inwardly. The saying "the scene remains, but the person is gone" was indeed true. Compared to this, Wang Lin truly hoped to meet a beautiful and arrogant Hong Dai. A battle with such a Hong Dai would be the true pinnacle of life worth striving for. Wang Lin sighed softly, withdrawing his emotions, his eyes like lightning fixed on Hong Dai, calmly saying, "Qian Feng, come out." Hong Dai stood there, raising her head to look at the sky. Her eyes were empty. "Zheng Yu, today I, Qian, don't have time to argue with you. Since you've already come this far, we'll meet again on Mount Ling." Qian Feng's voice came from the surrounding void. Wang Lin turned his head sharply, looking towards a distant mountain range. A dark shadow, like a raging storm, appeared and then roared away. Its target was Mount Ling in the center. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He snorted coldly, and with a flash of his body, he also headed towards Mount Ling. "Hong Dai, weren't you wandering around looking for an opportunity to fight Wang Lin again? Today I'll give you that chance. Kill him." Qian Feng's arrogant laughter echoed from afar, his figure like lightning, disappearing in an instant. "Zheng Yu, you two old friends meet again. Reminisce about old times there. Wait until I retrieve my soul, then I'll come and deal with you." The emptiness in Hong Dai's eyes vanished, replaced by a strong fighting spirit. She flashed, blocking Wang Lin's path, without uttering a word, her right hand patting her storage bag. Immediately, a red long sword appeared in her hand. At the same time, an overwhelming aura suddenly erupted from Hong Dai. This aura was in no way inferior to Wang Lin's, and moreover, there was a faint trace of immortal power swirling around her. Obviously, although her cultivation hadn't reached the nascent soul stage, it wasn't far behind. "Zheng Yu," a cold, icy voice came from Hong Dai's mouth, her gaze fixed on Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned, looking deeply at her. He wasn't in a hurry to find Qian Feng. Originally, he guessed that there was little chance of a spirit mountain appearing here. After all, if this was truly a cultivation star, a spirit mountain couldn't possibly appear. Hong Dai's eyes flashed, and she swung the longsword in her hand forward. The sword instantly left her hand, creating a gust of wind, transforming into a red lightning bolt, breaking through the air at an extremely fast speed, and in an instant, it pierced Wang Lin's forehead. Wang Lin retreated, his right hand patting his storage bag, and the Forbidden's banner appeared in his hand, shaking. Countless restrictions flew out from within, forming a protective barrier in front of her. The red lightning bolt immediately struck this barrier, creating a deafening, earth-shattering roar that echoed wildly everywhere. On the ground, sand and dust swirled up. Amidst the sandstorm, a red light suddenly flashed, and Hong Dai's figure swiftly emerged, a block of red ice appearing in her hand. A dense, icy aura emanated from within the ice, instantly enveloping everything around her. As Hong Dai approached, her eyes, filled with fighting spirit, suddenly flashed with profound sorrow. As she lunged forward, her lips trembled incessantly. "Kill me," a weak voice escaped from Hong Dai's lips. But immediately, the sorrow vanished, replaced by an intense fighting spirit. A fierce, overwhelming aura surged towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's heart trembled. He had heard Hong Dai's voice, seen her eyes, and suddenly hesitated. Hong Dai was arrogant. Her arrogance emanated from her very bones, from her very soul. She lived like a proud rose. A deep-seated spark of consciousness within her willingly chose death over a life of confinement. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Facing Hong Dai's imposing aura, he extended his right hand, unleashing a claw-like attack into the void. Immediately, streams of Forbidden's energy roared out from the Forbidden's banner, emitting bursts of Forbidden's light, condensing in his hand. A massive spear, about 3 meters long, formed, emitting streams of black energy. He grasped the spear with one hand, his eyes like lightning fixed on Hong Dai. His body transformed into a blur, and he thrust the spear forward. This spear carried with it a series of piercing, screeching sounds like mournful cries, emanating from the tip of the spear, the sound traveling tens of thousands of miles away. The ice block in Hong Dai's hand suddenly thrust down towards her forehead, a red light flashing from her forehead. Layers upon layers of thin red ice shards spread out from her forehead at a speed visible to the naked eye, instantly enveloping her entire body, forming a red armor. The entire armor was red, radiating waves of cold air, and the red light further highlighted Hong Dai's exquisite beauty. At this moment, she resembled a battle fairy, her armor constantly radiating red light. Suddenly, a black whip appeared in her hand, the Extreme Staff Whip. This whip was given to her by Qian Feng for her to use against Wang Lin. A strange light emanated from Hong Dai's eyes. She swung the whip with her right hand, and a series of clanging sounds erupted from it. Immediately afterward, the whip, like a dragon, shot towards Wang Lin like a lightning bolt. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and his spear moved. As he thrust the spear, Wang Lin retreated, his hands forming a hand seal, and a spell softly chanted. Immediately, a strange wind, imbued with immortal power, roared and chased after the spear, heading forward. The Extreme Staff Whip and the spear suddenly clashed. Boom! The sound was like the collapse of heaven and earth. The impact of the whip and spear created a powerful shockwave that spread outwards. Wang Lin's figure remained motionless. The swirling, sand-like energy, which had been spreading like a sandstorm, instantly caught up to him and was swept away by this strange wind, howling and erupting with even greater ferocity as it attacked Hong Deep. This scene unfolded as quickly as lightning. After the Kunji immortal whip in Hong Dai's hand clashed with the spear, it instantly left her grasp, transforming into a black lightning bolt that pierced through the strange wind swirling towards Wang Lin. With a loud bang, Wang Lin's figure recoiled violently, retreating hundreds of meters. His eyes flashed with a strange light as he whispered, "Kunji Immortal Whip." He had encountered this whip once before, but had never been able to obtain it. This time, he was determined to seize it. Meanwhile, as the strange wind swept towards Hong Dai, her body involuntarily recoiled, her red armor emitting waves of extreme cold. This cold aura surged forward, and a series of crackling sounds echoed from the void. A cluster of strangely shaped ice sculptures, resembling sharp spikes, materialized in midair. Under this icy aura unexpectedly, even the air itself froze, transforming from invisible to tangible. Wang Lin gazed at the armor, a cold glint appearing in his eyes. Hong Dai raised her right hand and pointed at the ice sculptures before her. Immediately, cracking sounds emanated from the ice sculptures. Cracks instantly appeared on their surfaces, spreading rapidly. Almost in an instant, the entire ice sculpture was no longer smooth. With a pop, they shattered into tiny pieces, falling to the ground. Kill Me Hong Dai's eyes showed a struggle, the pain on her face intensifying. At this moment, around Hong Dai's body, Kunji shone, like a dragon, soared everywhere. The red armor she wore continued to radiate a chilling aura. Wang Lin looked at Hong Dai and silently nodded. He potted his storage bag with his right hand, and a huge battle axe instantly appeared in his hand. As soon as the battle axe appeared, the sky suddenly darkened, and all the light concentrated on the surface of the axe. Purple lightning bolts flowed across the axe, circulating through Wang Lin's entire body along his arm. A series of popping sounds emanated from Wang Lin's body. At this moment, an unprecedented fighting spirit gradually condensed in Wang Lin's heart. This battle axe was summoned by the giant demon clan's ancestor before his death. It was the weapon of the giant demon clan's ancestor in the Yin sect of Zhao Kingdom. After Wang Lin obtained it, he originally intended to keep it for his own use. But now that the Sword Immortal had lost his sword soul and could no longer unleash its divine power, and he didn't want to use the soul banner, this battle axe was the most suitable weapon. Hong Dai looked at Wang Lin, a breath of sandalwood scent escaping from her mouth. A crimson light shot out, expanding in the wind, transforming into a translucent red rose, floating before her. In an instant, this red rose bloomed. A pink smoke drifted from the pistol, vaguely revealing Hong Dai's figure. This figure, with a face full of arrogance, was identical to the Hong Dai in Wang Lin's heart. Zheng Niu, attack! Hong Dai's eyes, visible through the smoke, showed arrogance as she looked towards Wang Lin. At this moment, 1,000 miles away from where Wang Lin and Hong Dai stood, Jiwutai was rapidly flying away. His cultivation wasn't at the nascent soul stage, so his speed couldn't match Wang Lin's, and he was still chasing behind. The moment the crescent-shaped saber flashed past him had terrified him. He had never seen anything so fast in his life. As he was flying, Chuatai suddenly raised his eyebrows, his body instantly stopped, and he turned his head to look behind him. At that moment, a crimson light roared towards him from the horizon, swirling and churning, its red color standing out against the sky. Even the dimensional rifts in the air were quickly dissipated under the impact of this red cloud. Chuatai sighed inwardly, immediately becoming respectful, standing still. The red cloud, like an ancient beast, roared through the air. As it passed Chuatai, an old voice came from within, "Enter." Chuatai hastily acknowledged and, with a slight movement of his body, transformed into an arc and flew into the range of the red cloud. Inside the crimson cloud, only an old man with a sorrowful expression could be seen, dressed in pink robes, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes like lightning gazing into the distance. His body remained motionless, yet the crimson cloud moved swiftly forward. Chuatai stood beside the old man, his demeanor respectful. "Chuatai greets senior." The old man nodded slightly, his gaze sweeping across the distance. His eyes seemed to penetrate the spatial distance, reaching the battle between Wang Lin and Hong Dai thousands of miles away. He remained silent for a moment, then calmly said, "Where is Zidin?" Chuatai replied in a low voice, "On the way, Zidin and I encountered Wang Lin." And then Zidin left alone. The old man sighed softly, "Never mind her anymore. You follow me to Mount Ling." After saying this, the crimson cloud beneath his feet accelerated, flying towards Mount Ling. This old man was none other than Yun Qzi. The Immortal clan, utilizing the runes on the skull of the Void Ancestor, temporarily broke the restrictions of the Vermilion Bird Tomb with their 12-leaf cultivation, allowing Yun Qzi to enter. However, if the Void Ancestor were still alive, his cultivation could completely dispel the restrictions of the cultivation star. But the Immortal clan used a rune power on the skull to break the restrictions, so they couldn't completely undo them. Although they could allow Yun Qzi to enter, they were limited by time. After a certain period, when the rune power dissipated, Yun Qzi would be directly expelled by the strange power of the cultivation star. Therefore, upon entering, he wasted no time heading towards the central spirit mountain at the fastest speed. At this time, Qianfeng was approaching the spirit mountain, and Yun Qzi was also rushing there. Besides these two, several others were also flying from different directions towards the central location of the Vermilion Bird Tomb. Among these people were members of the Immortal tribe, as well as cultivators. At this moment, an old man had already arrived on Mount Ling. This man had an ordinary appearance, but his eyes contained a strong blood-red light. On his shoulder was a small monkey, its eyes also emitting a thick red light. This old man stood on the peak of Mount Ling, where a huge gate appeared in the void, surrounded by dazzling golden light. This gate was about 100 feet high, pointing straight upwards. At this moment, a crack appeared on it, like a scar, extremely eye-catching. The old man looked at this gate, the red light in his eyes intensified, a faint, sinister smile appeared on his lips, and he sat down cross-legged to meditate. The small monkey on his shoulder looked around frantically, its eyes still emitting red light. Meanwhile, back to Wang Lin and Hong Dai. The translucent rose before Hong Dai radiated an exquisite beauty. The illusory image above was a carefully concealed wisp of Hong Dai's consciousness. This was her true self. She looked at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with arrogance, and softly said, "Zhang Niu, attack, kill me. This kind of lifeless being is useless to keep alive. I, Hong Dai, would rather die than seek life." Wang Lin looked at Hong Dai, a series of scenes between him and her flashing through his mind. A proud daughter of heaven, yet she ultimately falls like this. How sad. Wang Lin sighed softly. He saw that Hong Dai's illusory image wasn't arrogant, but contained a deep sorrow, a profound pain from the bottom of her heart. Within this bitterness lay immense suffering, making anyone who saw it feel deeply moved. "Hong Dai, I will grant your wish." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he swung the battle axe in his hand. Suddenly, his body leapt up, and in midair, he let out a low roar. The battle axe flew out, like a shooting star, crashing down on Hong Dai. This axe strike carried a powerful aura, causing the void to tremble as it streaked through, as if about to collapse. Before it even reached the ground, countless cracks appeared, and rocks and earth flew and shattered. Hong Dai looked up, watching the giant axe descend. A wisp of divine consciousness from the rose before her transformed into a light smoke and floated into her forehead. At this moment, Hong Dai's eyes held no fighting spirit, no emptiness, but a hint of clarity, a touch of arrogance, a touch of sorrow, and a touch of hatred. A faint smile slowly appeared on Hong Deep's lips. This smile was extremely joyful, rarely seen on her face. At this moment, she was like an innocent maiden, letting go of all her spiritual obsessions. An overwhelming fighting spirit surged from the giant axe descending from midair. At this moment, it was as if an invisible giant, wielding the axe, descended from the heavens, wildly slashing. Although Hong Deep's smile was beautiful, within it still lay a deep, unwavering pride. This pride was Hong Deep's very being. Her entire life had been one of rising with pride. At this moment, even as she faced death, her pride soared to the heavens, blazing red like a butterfly. The battle axe struck from a distance, a whirlwind of energy emanating from it, scattering in all directions. Both sides quickly erupted with thunderous explosions echoing throughout the heavens and earth. To this day, Hong Deep has lived for less than 300 years. Her short life is like a butterfly, fleeting yet full of beauty and pride, leaving an unforgettable impression on everyone who has ever met her. Although her pride makes her unpopular with many, and her ruthlessness keeps many true people at a distance, she is Hong Deep. A proud Hong Deep. The battle axe came crashing down, less than 10 yards from her, yet the aura capable of destroying heaven and earth emanated from it. At this moment, if Hong Deep wanted to resist, she had the means to do so. If she wanted to dodge, she had the strength to escape. But she neither resisted nor dodged. Her eyes grew brighter and brighter, her pride increasing with each passing moment. Beneath her arrogant exterior lay a hint of regret, though deeply hidden. Wang Lin could still discern it. Hong Dai seemed to see her master. Her master's voice, demeanor, the kindness and guidance from her childhood, the gentleness and the stern words she uttered as a young woman, these scenes flashed before her eyes. Besides her master, another figure appeared in her vision. It was a frail young man. This young man's gaze was always tender, silently watching her. Seeing this figure, a faint smile appeared on Hong Dai's lips. This image flickered in her eyes, finally settling on a young man. In his eyes, love was intensely passionate. He, for Hong Dai's sake, would not hesitate to steal the Kanji immortal sword. See you again. Hong Dai's beautiful face slowly froze. The battle axe was about to strike. The rose before Hong Dai immediately emitted a dazzling red light. Piece by piece, fragments fell, scattering in all directions, finally settling in the void. A trace of blood appeared at the corner of Hong Dai's mouth, her eyes dim. Only the intense arrogance on her face remained, not dissipating. Next year's flowering season is when the roses on Vermilion Bird Star will bloom most profusely. In a plain in the far north, a blue rose will bloom. Wang Lin, that is my gift to you. The rose lost its petals, leaving only its pistil. When the battle axe struck Hong Dai, it instantly turned to dust and vanished. A bloodstain slowly seeped from her forehead, a horrifying sight. Hong Dai, you have a tribulation in this life. This tribulation is a path that divides life and death. If you overcome it, you will live in peace, but if you fail, you will only die with regret. Master has poured his life's effort into calculating this divination for you. You must be careful in everything you do, Hong Dai. This calamity of yours will likely befall Zhang Niu. You must fight. You have no choice but to fight. Blood streamed into Hong Dai's eyes, blurring her vision with a crimson mist. Master, you were able to calculate a karmic fate for Hong Dai, but unfortunately, it's only the last one. You couldn't calculate who would bring Hong Dai another fate. Qian Feng, the battle axe sliced through the air, piercing Hong Dai's body with a loud bang, sinking into the ground. A huge, deep crater remained, from which black smoke billowed. Cracks appeared in Hong Dai's armor, and her skin cracked and split, eventually spreading across her entire body. She closed her eyes. Her body exploded with a bang, transforming into a cloud of blood mist. A cool breeze blew, and the blood mist slowly dissipated, turning into countless points of blood-red light, filling the heavens and earth. A great beauty, Hong Dai, lost her life. Wang Lin, help me kill Qian Feng. Okay. Wang Lin stood silently in midair. He looked up at the distant sky. Vaguely, he seemed to hear a faint voice of Hong Dai before she left, a voice transmitted from a silent spiritual thought, crimson like a butterfly. Though brief, it filled the heart, making it unforgettable for a lifetime. Hong Dai's death left behind only a jade slip and a Kanji immortal staff. These two objects floated in the air, emanating a sense of solitude. Qian Feng's realm of intent is boundless wandering. He seems to devour everything, wanting to surpass all other realms of intent. What can be devoured? What Qianfeng needed wasn't the realm of intent, but a spark of enlightenment when connecting the realm of intent with the heavenly Tao. Through devouring the realm of intent, he gained different insights, thus allowing his realm of intent to continuously improve, ultimately reaching perfection. Wang Lin grasped the jade slip. On this jade slip were the things she had recorded from observing Qianfeng's enlightenment over the years. Wang Lin silently watched the crimson butterfly dissipate, sighed softly, and descended to the ground. He extended his right hand towards the deep pit, summoning the battle axe, which immediately flew back and was stored in his storage bag. Then, with a slight movement of his mind, he extended a claw from a distance, and the kanji immortal flashed, catching Wang Lin in his hand. After carefully observing it, he put it into his storage bag. This kanji immortal contained a divine consciousness of a peak-level expert, which Wang Lin couldn't remove for the time being. As long as he kept it in his hand, he was confident he could completely handle it. After the transformation of the 10 billion Venerable Soul Banner's main soul was complete, the divine consciousness on the kanji immortal could be removed, and the kanji immortal could be truly seized. Having accomplished all this, Wang Lin glanced at the spot where Han Dai had disappeared. He shook his head slightly, and with a slight movement of his feet, his body transformed into a wisp of smoke, flying towards the distant Spirit Mountain. At this moment, above the Spirit Mountain, the red cloud of Yanquezi roared and rushed towards the summit. Within it, the red cloud transformed into a red whirlwind, suddenly descending from the air to the mountaintop. Yanquezi emerged from the whirlwind, followed by Zhou Wetai, who looked very respectful. Yanquezi glanced and saw the old man sitting cross-legged on the mountaintop with a small monkey perched on his shoulder. Yanquezi raised his eyebrows, his eyes like lightning, and after a quick glance, his expression changed slightly. I wonder who this Taoist who has possessed this body is. Why doesn't he reveal his true form? Yanquezi stared at the old man and said in a low voice. The old man raised his eyes, casually glancing at Yanquezi, and chuckled dryly, saying, "We don't know each other. Even if I revealed my true form, you wouldn't recognize me." The little monkey on his shoulder bared its teeth at Yanquezi, a red light flashing in its eyes. Yanquezi's expression remained calm, his bright, torch-like eyes like lightning fixed on the little monkey. After a moment, he smiled faintly and said, "So it's just a puppet." The red light in the old man's eyes suddenly flashed, staring intently at Yanquezi. Just then, the little monkey on his shoulder suddenly let out a chirp. The red light in his eyes instantly dissipated, and he said in a low voice, "I am Molai Hai." After saying this, his eyes flashed with ferocity again. He closed his eyes and sat there. Although this person only has late-stage nascent soul cultivation, he possesses a very strange aura. This feeling is undetectable to outsiders. Only those whose cultivation reaches the peak of cultivation can clearly sense it. He is not from the Vermilion Bird Star. Yanquezi observed the old man for a moment before withdrawing his gaze and looking at the massive gate in the void, remaining silent. Based on his understanding of the Vermilion Bird Tomb, he was somewhat surprised by what he had witnessed. The Vermilion Bird Tomb described by a generation of Vermilion Bird Masters wasn't like this. The spirit beasts formed from life souls were clearly condensed from the strange power of the cultivation star. According to a generation of Vermilion Bird Masters, Yanquezi remembered that this type of spirit beast only appeared within the cultivation star. However, the Spirit Mountain here wasn't fake. The gate at the top of Spirit Mountain was the only passage to the tomb of a former Vermilion bird. Cultivation star energy existed within the confines of the tomb of a former Vermilion bird. However, this gate couldn't be opened without a true cultivation heart. To enter, one had to wait until the area had broken open to a certain extent. Cloud Sparrow observed the interior, his expression suddenly changing slightly. He casually glanced down at the base of Spirit Mountain before withdrawing his gaze. A moment later, Qianfeng's figure emerged from the foot of the mountain. Upon appearing, his face immediately showed vigilance as he carefully observed Cloud Sparrow. He pondered for a moment, then moved to an open space in a corner and sat down cross-legged. Soon after, more people arrived. Among them were 2 8-leaf spellcasters from the Immortal tribe. After the two reached the mountaintop, upon seeing Yanquezi, they immediately showed joyful expressions and went to Yanquezi's side with great respect. Among the monks, one also arrived. This person wore a green robe and a fierce mask, which emitted a blue light that prevented divine consciousness from penetrating. After reaching the summit of Mount Ling, he assessed the situation and then sat down silently, saying nothing. After a long while, 3 arcs of light shot from the distant horizon, rapidly approaching. Just as these 3 arcs drew near, the entire Mount Ling shook violently. The massive gate, in particular, emitted a cracking sound and vibrated intensely. Cracks appeared in the cracks amidst the deafening roars. At this moment, not only Mount Ling, but also the Vermilion Bird Tomb trembled. Just like the first tremor, large chunks of earth and rock collapsed, turning into nothingness, and countless dimensional rifts appeared in every corner of the heavens and earth. The sky above also collapsed in the same way. The 3 rapidly approaching arcs were no exception. They couldn't advance another step, entering the Spirit Mountain only to be trapped in the dimensional rifts of this collapse, dying tragically. This tremor lasted longer than the first, slowly subsiding after 30 seconds. However, these 30 seconds caused the entire outer perimeter of the Vermilion Bird Tomb to completely collapse, creating countless dimensional rifts. At Vermilion Bird Mountain, cultivators and powerful figures continued to try to enter the Vermilion Bird Tomb, but each one encountered a dimensional rift and was devoured without exception. Gradually, the number of people entering increased, as if the passage to the Vermilion Bird Tomb had no restrictions, allowing people to enter freely. Eventually, some cultivators noticed something was wrong. Finally, things became strangely tense, and no one dared to enter the passage anymore. In their eyes, that passage had transformed into a ferocious beast, devouring cultivators. Entering meant certain death. Above the Spirit Mountain in the Vermilion Bird Tomb, following the second collapse of the cultivation star, the massive gate developed more cracks, some even connecting and intersecting. After the shock subsided, Yan Kuezi's eyes flashed, staring intently at the enormous gate. He raised his right hand, unleashing a powerful surge of immortal energy, forming a massive handprint that pressed against the gate. Under this single blow, the gate trembled, but no further cracks appeared, and the handprint vanished into thin air. Yan Kuezi frowned, rubbing his hands together, his expression grim as he awaited the next collapse. However, his gaze occasionally swept towards the foot of the mountain, as if waiting for something. At that moment, a purple figure rose from beneath the Spirit Mountain. This person was a woman, her face veiled in black. She wasn't alone. Behind her were 4 old men with runes flashing on their foreheads, all at the late stage of the god transformation realm. Many wounds were visible on their bodies. She was indeed Zidin. The reason she and Zhou Wutai, with their god transformation realm cultivation, were able to reach this place was because they both possess several talisman puppets. These talisman puppets were given to them by Yan Kuzi to ensure their safety. Seeing Zidin, Yan Kuzi nodded slightly, motioning for her to approach. Zidin took a deep breath, casually glancing at Qian Feng in a nearby corner. A hint of hatred flickered in her eyes, then she turned towards Yan Kuzi. The moment Zidin appeared, Qian Feng's gaze never left her. His face was extremely grim, radiating intense killing intent. When he looked at Zidin, his eyes unexpectedly showed a flicker of agonizing struggle, which then vanished. Zidin! Qian Feng stared intently at Zidin, his voice laced with anger. Zidin looked back at Qian Feng speechless, but the hatred in her eyes surged uncontrollably. Qian Feng's breathing quickened slightly. He glanced at Yan Kuzi, took a deep breath, and forcefully suppressed his thoughts. He glared at Zidin, let out a cold laugh, and closed his eyes. Just then, a figure leapt up from the foot of Mount Ling, stopping at the summit. As soon as this person appeared, most of the people on the mountaintop narrowed their eyes slightly, looking towards him. Qian Feng's eyes snapped open, a cold glint flashing in them. Zidin immediately bowed her head, retreating a few steps, standing behind Yan Kuzi. A glint of light flickered in Yan Kuzi's eyes, a meaningful smile playing on her lips. Chuatai sighed inwardly. He had originally intended to tell Wang Lin something before chasing after him, but on the way, he encountered Yan Kuezi, who inexplicably appeared here and was brought along. The person who ascended the mountain was indeed Wang Lin. The old man carrying the little monkey, upon seeing Wang Lin's figure, had a strange glint in his eyes, revealing a sinister smile as he looked at Wang Lin. Especially the little monkey on his shoulder, its gaze fixed on Wang Lin, its ferocity completely unconcealed. The masked man also glanced at Wang Lin, a hint of confusion in his eyes, but then it quickly cleared, and he nodded slightly towards Wang Lin without saying anything. At this moment, Wang Lin looked extremely disheveled. His clothes were damaged in many places. When he ascended the mountain, he was only halfway there when he was hindered by the second collapse of the Vermilion Bird tomb. Beneath a vast dimensional rift, he nearly perished, ultimately having to create a cave on Mount Ling to escape, waiting until the complete collapse had passed before daring to emerge, thus avoiding certain death. If he had remained suspended in midair at that time, he would likely have perished by now. Brother Wang Zhengniu, Wang Lin. 3 different calls rang out from the people on the mountaintop. The one calling him Brother Wang was naturally Zhou Wutai. The one calling him Zhengniu was Qian Feng. And the final mournful voice came from Yan Qzi. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, his gaze sweeping across everyone, finally settling on Yan Qzi. This was the first time he had seen Yan Qzi since their last parting. The disheveled appearance of the past had completely vanished. Yan Qzi now looked exactly like the appearance he had rarely seen back then. Wang Lin looked at Yan Quezi, and Yan Quezi looked back at Wang Lin. Both fell into silence. After a moment, Wang Lin gave a bitter smile, clasped his hands together, and said, "Junior greets Senior." Yan Quezi sighed softly, shaking his head and saying, "You come here to." Wang Lin patted his storage bag with his right hand, and streaks of dark light flew out one after another. With a wave of his hand, they immediately flew towards Yan Quezi, stopping beside him and transforming into a group of carved wooden statues. The carved wooden statues were all identical, each depicting a handsome young man. "The task you instructed me to do that year, Senior, I have completed," Wang Lin said, then walked to a corner, sat down cross-legged, and said nothing more. Yan Quezi's eyes flashed, and he waved his right hand forward. The carved wooden statues instantly vanished. He looked at Wang Lin without speaking, his gaze returning to the large door in the void. Wang Lin had no interest in finding out how Yan Quezi managed to enter this place. The immortal tribe had a history of countless years, and they certainly possessed some extraordinary abilities. Moreover, Wang Lin wasn't a nosy person who would press for details over a single matter. Wang Lin had given up on obtaining the cultivation star. He only wanted to reclaim his life soul. After all, the cultivation star was related to all life on the Vermilion Bird star. Wang Lin wasn't yet at the point of sacrificing all life on the Vermilion Bird star for his own personal desires. Of course, it would be different if it were someone he had a grudge against. Back then, he could wipe out the entire Teng family, annihilating everyone involved. Therefore, it could be seen that Wang Lin was not the kind of person with a soft heart like a woman. After sitting down cross-legged, his eyes suddenly flashed, glancing at Qian Feng. At this moment, Qian Feng's eyes were also looking back at him. The 2 men's eyes clashed in midair. A cold, icy smile appeared at the corner of Wang Lin's mouth as he withdrew his gaze and looked at the masked man. This person was somewhat unfamiliar. After a quick glance, Wang Lin didn't pay any more attention to him. Then he stared intently at the old man who had left a sinister smile at the entrance to Vermilion Bird Mountain. Who exactly is he? This old man gave Wang Lin a feeling of being threatened, even more terrifying than Yan Quezi. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he stared at the old man, falling silent. The old man noticed Wang Lin's gaze and turned to look back. A sinister smile appeared on his lips. Wang Lin felt a strong sense of familiarity, but he was certain he had never met this person before. Just then, a dimensional arc appeared from the horizon, breaking through the void. Within the arc was a striking figure. This person flashed, dodging a dimensional rift, and landed on the peak of Ling Mountain. This woman was extremely beautiful, her clothes flowing like waves, like a fairy standing on the peak of Ling Mountain. The moment Wang Lin clearly saw her, his expression immediately darkened. This woman was none other than Liu Mi. In fact, Liu Mi's statement was very true. Wang Lin and she were essentially the same kind of people, both harboring a hint of heartlessness deep down. Wang Lin merely glanced at her before averting his gaze, his expression icy. Compared to their previous battle, Liu Mi hadn't changed at all. A hint of resentment flickered across Liu Mi's face as she looked at Wang Lin. She took a small step towards him. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. He had no good impression of Liu Mi. That dreamlike scene in his eyes was merely a creation of yin and yang. He coldly glanced at Liu Mi, calmly saying, "I don't wish to be disturbed. Don't come any closer." Liu Mi stopped, her gaze fixed on Wang Lin, and softly said, "Are you truly a heart of stone?" Wang Lin's eyes remained calm, and he coldly said, "Move aside." Liu Mi looked at Wang Lin, suddenly smiling, and then said, "What is Li Muwen like in your heart?" A murderous glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he said coldly, "Get out." Even though your realm of cultivation has reached perfection, it wouldn't be too difficult for me to kill you. Don't seek death. Liu Mi's words were meant to destroy his Dao heart, but she didn't know that Li Muwen was Wang Lin's reverse skill one. Touching her would make him want to kill her. If this wasn't the time to act, Wang Lin would definitely have used the soul-slaying banner to kill her. One meaning like a dragon with reverse scales, touching them will make him angry. Wang Lin indeed highly values those who have done him favors, but similarly, he is always cold as ice towards innocent outsiders. Iron-hearted, not a single thing wrong. Liu Mi smiled slightly, turned around and left, heading towards Qian Feng. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at the gloomy old man who was staring back at him. Could this person have possessed someone else's body? Wang Lin's heart stirred slightly. He considered this possibility. Otherwise, why would this person give him such a familiar feeling? If Wang Lin were an ordinary mortal, he wouldn't have associated so many things with a smile. Even as a low-level cultivator, he wouldn't possess such profound divine abilities. But Wang Lin was a nascent soul early-stage cultivator. Nascent soul cultivators, even in the vast starry sky, could be considered powerful figures, not to be underestimated. Before the immortal realm's demise, nascent soul cultivators were essentially immortals, their bodies entirely formed from condensed immortal power, naturally possessing a certain mysterious sensitivity. This kind of sensitivity was extremely miraculous. Only a few cultivators with very strong power could achieve it. If one's cultivation is extremely profound, often with just a slight thought, they can vaguely foresee certain events of the future. This kind of mysterious divine ability is beyond description. At this moment, Wang Lin felt this very feeling in his heart. He knew he was absolutely not mistaken. The old man with the sinister smile was very familiar. I have cultivated for over 600 years, with countless enemies, but if a single smile can make me tremble, then there is only one. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, but his heart was churning with overwhelming emotions. He took a deep breath, lowered his head, his pupils contracting, revealing a look of apprehension. The demonic thought to Lin. Wang Lin's body turned cold. If there was anyone on Vermilion Bird Star that he feared most, Vermilion Bird Sun wouldn't be the first. That was the person who, back then, when his cultivation was only at the core formation stage, had provoked that godlike man into the ancient god realm, to Lin. The ancient god Tut's inheritance is divided into two parts, inherited memories and inherited power. Of these two inheritances, the inherited memories are Tut's entire life's memories, including the cultivation methods of the ancient god technique and various divine abilities needed to gradually cultivate into an ancient god. Tut's memories even contain a vast star map, encompassing everything he experienced during his travels through the starry sky. This memory greatly assisted Wang Lin. Without this inherited memory, his current self would never have been able to cultivate to the 3-star ancient god realm. But memories are just memories. They lack substantial power. Through Tut's memories, Wang Lin could identify more than 10 divine abilities and techniques capable of destroying the Vermilion Bird Star. He knew the incantations and methods for these abilities, but he had no way of using them. The minimum requirement was the strength of a 7-star ancient god to perform them. Therefore, he could only proceed step by step, slowly strengthening his true form and unleashing the true memories of Tut. Similarly, the one who possessed the inherited power Thaklam was also like this. He possessed the entirety of Tut's power, that of an 8-star ancient god, a formidable force that struck fear into everyone. But even with this power, he couldn't unleash it. It was as if the energy in his meridians was immense, yet he couldn't release it. At this moment, all he could unleash were some of the innate techniques he naturally acquired from Tut's demonic thoughts. Through these, he could only utilize a small portion of the inherited power. However, his methods were only at the lowest level, unable to fully unleash the inherited power. To be precise, the current maximum strength that Thaklam can unleash is only equivalent to 5 stars. For someone who possesses the inherited power of an 8-star ancient god like him, that amount of strength is extremely small. But for all the creatures on Vermilion Bird Star, a 5-star ancient god only exists in legend, completely surpassing the peak level. Thak Lam's greatest aspiration is to obtain the inherited memories. Once he obtains the memories, he only needs a period of time to absorb them, and his body will be refined, truly becoming an 8-star ancient god. At that time, even the old monsters of the Cultivation Alliance will be terrified. If Wang Lin hadn't entered the ancient god's land back then, sooner or later, Thak Lam would have been able to absorb the inherited memories and break free from the ancient god's body. To be precise, Lin was actually Titi, merely a wisp of demonic thought born from Titi's failed attempt at splitting his consciousness years ago. As for Wang Lin, he absolutely had to seize it. Wang Lin raised his head, his gaze casually sweeping over the gloomy old man, then settling on the little monkey on the old man's shoulder. After making his assessment, Wang Lin immediately spotted a clue upon closer observation. The occasional red light in the monkey's eyes was clearly the unique aura of a cultivator tainted by the blood of the Sea of Blood. Wang Lin felt a pang of bitterness. He thought of Liu Demon Lord, Bang Tusi, and Gudi. Most of these people, except those who had died, had become blood cultivators in the Sea of Blood. In addition, there were several ancient cultivators. They existed when there were no cultivators on Vermilion Bird Star, and were all extremely powerful. However, with Wang Lin's current experience, he could mostly deduce the cultivation level of these ancient cultivators. They probably couldn't have surpassed the peak inquiry stage. It's likely that some strange force within the ancient god's body restricted their cultivation, preventing them from increasing. But among them, some had learned inherited divine abilities and magical techniques. When these techniques were unleashed, they could greatly increase their combat power. Thak Lam, he must not have completely escaped his predicament. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used this body possession method to find me. However, after possessing someone's body, why didn't this Thak Lam immediately attack me but instead entered the Vermilion Bird Tomb, or did he also guess about the cultivation star? Wang Lin thought to himself. Could this spirit star allow him to completely break free from the ancient god's seal? Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Just then, a violent tremor suddenly erupted from the spirit mountain. A deafening roar, capable of destroying heaven and earth, resounded from deep within the earth. Collapse! This was the third time. The Vermilion Bird Tomb collapsed on a massive scale, many areas turning into nothingness. Those who couldn't find the spirit mountain, the cultivators, Taoists, immortals, and people of various tribes had nowhere to hide and were completely annihilated in this catastrophe. The death of the spirit beasts and their souls triggered a chain reaction. At this moment, some mortals, cultivators, and demonic beasts on the Vermilion Bird Star began to die. This kind of annihilation was silent and inescapable. It could only be considered fate. Fortunately, the number of casualties wasn't too high, but with the collapse of the cultivation star, the entire Vermilion Bird Star would eventually become a death zone. The maniacal laughter of Vermilion Bird Sun echoed from Vermilion Bird Mountain. At this moment, he sat cross-legged on Vermilion Bird Mountain, his eyes filled with madness, a desolate smile playing on his lips as he muttered, "My junior brother, how is this game going? The game has only just begun. The climax is yet to come. My good disciple, I eagerly await you to use the treasure I gave you. Once you use this treasure, the climax of this game can begin." Inside the Vermilion Bird Tomb, on Spirit Mountain, the tremors and collapse lasted for about 60 seconds. During this collapse, more and more cracks appeared on the large gate in midair, shattering into large pieces. At that moment, the Vermilion Bird's body moved slightly, and he suddenly appeared beside it, holding a straw hat in his hand. He patted it, and the straw hat immediately dispersed, transforming into a cluster of runes. These runes intertwined, like a swarm of shooting stars, frantically attacking the huge door. A series of deafening roars echoed, and the cracks in the door widened. "Attack!" the cloud bird shouted. The two immortal tribe members immediately flew up, unleashing their magical abilities and bombarding the door. Just then, a glint of red light flashed in the old man's eyes, a contemptuous smile appeared on his lips, and he stood up abruptly, his right hand pointing repeatedly as he softly uttered, "Greed." Delusion. As soon as these words were spoken, the two immortal tribe members attacking the door trembled. Without any warning, their eyes suddenly flashed with demonic light, and two beams of light burst forth from their bodies. "Explode!" the old man's voice boomed. With two loud bangs, the two immortal tribe members violently exploded, their energy surging and crashing into the massive door in midair. The moment Wang Lin saw this technique, his eyes flashed. He recognized it as the Six Desires Heavenly Demon Technique, the signature technique of the Six Desires Demon Lord. After the two immortal tribe members self-destructed, the door in the void immediately began to shake violently, and more cracks appeared. Yan Kuezi turned his head, glanced at the old man, snorted softly, and with a low growl, pressed his hands against the door. Boom! A deafening roar echoed throughout the Vermilion Bird tomb. A large section of the left crack in the door collapsed, piercing through it. A golden beam of light shot out from within, soaring straight towards the horizon, and lingered for a long time without dissipating. Yan Kuezi's body flashed, instantly transforming into a streak of red light and entering through the crack. The gloomy old man followed closely behind, entering as well. Then, several people on Mount Ling also unleashed their divine abilities and jumped inside. Wang Lin was the fourth to enter the crack. He lightly stepped down, his entire body transforming into a wisp of smoke, disappearing into the crack. In a short time, within the golden world, streaks of red light tore through the air, and the howling sounds echoed incessantly. Yan Kuezi's figure flashed, arriving at a palace suspended in midair above the small island, like a lightning bolt suddenly leaping towards the palace entrance. At that moment, the red light in the gloomy old man's eyes flared again, his right hand grasping the little monkey's shoulder, throwing it forcefully forward. The little monkey, using the momentum, leapt up, its figure suddenly vanishing. Unexpectedly, it appeared even faster than Yan Kuezi, surpassing him and leaping into the palace. Yan Kuezi's expression darkened, and he snorted softly, following closely behind. But at that moment, the palace suddenly shook violently, and dazzling golden beams, reaching tens of thousands of feet high, instantly tore through the air from within. Yan Kuezi's figure retreated forcefully from the palace. His face was grim, and his eyes showed astonishment. As for the little monkey, it also chirped a few times and flew back quickly, its eyes blazing with red light, extending more than a meter, looking terrifying from afar. Its speed was extremely fast, but it didn't return to the gloomy old man, instead hovering in midair, baring its teeth and staring intently at the palace. At the same time, a series of rumbling sounds emanated from within the palace. Immediately afterward, a golden-armored man emerged from within the 10,000-foot-high beam of light, walking out step by step. The golden-armored man had a majestic appearance, his eyes like lightning, and in his hand he held a massive golden sword, radiating bursts of golden light. His black hair flowed freely behind him. He leapt up, standing atop the palace, his gaze sharp as torches, coldly sweeping across everyone. He swung his sword, and immediately the golden sea roared, massive waves surging towards the small island. In an instant, the entire island was submerged, disappearing into the golden sea. Yan Kuezi's face darkened. Without hesitation, he entered the sea. But the golden-armored man glared, slashing with his sword, instantly unleashing over 100 enormous sword energies of various shapes that tore through the air. Yan Kuezi let out a loud cry, his hair flying back, and pointed his right hand at the void. Immediately, a crimson light condensed from his arm, colliding with the sword energies. A deafening explosion resounded, and the figure of Yan Kuezi transformed into a shooting star, plunging into the depths of the sea and disappearing. The golden-armored man did not pursue, but instead turned his gaze to the little monkey. His eyes flashed, and his right hand swung his sword again, the sword energy instantly condensing above him, ready to strike. At this moment, the red light in the monkey's eyes suddenly intensified, unexpectedly spreading out more than 3 feet, its aura extremely malevolent. The golden-armored man's body trembled, and the sword light on his giant sword suddenly slowed slightly. The little monkey smirked, and in an instant, its body moved 10 feet away from the gloomy old man, following the old man as he sank, intending to enter the depths of the sea. The armored man immediately looked towards the gloomy old man and swung his massive sword. The sword light, which had briefly paused, quickly flashed again, transforming into a 100-foot-long sword that slashed down from the sky. The attack was fierce. Even before reaching the gloomy old man's body, the surface of the sea was pressed down, creating a deep trench. The old man let out a low growl, a powerful red light flashing in his eyes. In the instant the sword light tore through the air, a red phantom emerged from his body. This red phantom only had a human form, but it was unclear whether it was male or female. After appearing, it pressed its right hand forward, instantly halting the sword light, which was unexpectedly seized. The phantom then swung its right hand, directly throwing the sword light to the side, where it sank into the depths of the sea. The golden-armored man glanced at the old man, nodded, and then looked away. The illusory figure returned to the old man's gloomy body. The old man's body moved slightly, his eyes flashed with red light, and he entered the depths of the sea. The little monkey also flashed in after him. Wang Lin saw this scene clearly. With his experience, he could naturally see that the golden-armored man had no intention of harming anyone. However, anyone who wanted to enter the depths of the sea to search for the palace had to pass through his sword strike to be qualified. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, vaguely perceiving a hint of mystery. For example, when the old man who had possessed the monkey separated from the little monkey, the golden-armored man prepared to deal with each person individually. But when the man and the monkey gathered together, the golden-armored man only unleashed a single sword strike. Obviously, the giant in golden armor realized that the man and the monkey had been traveling together at the same time. At this moment, the giant's eyes suddenly flashed, and the sword in his hand suddenly moved slightly. A beam of sword light instantly descended from the sky, slashing into the depths of the sea. A rumbling sound erupted from the sea, followed by a towering wave. Chuwutai and Zidin were thrown out of the wave, stopping 100 yards away. Chuwutai spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. Zidin also showed a look of terror. The two had been hiding at the bottom of the sea, secretly advancing, but unexpectedly couldn't escape the giant's gaze. When the sword light struck, they had no choice but to quickly retreat. Even so, they were still struck by the sword light and immediately injured. The golden-armored man didn't pursue, but held his massive sword horizontally, his gaze fixed on Wang Lin. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. The golden-armored man's strength was immense. His single sword strike had the power of a peak-level cultivator's attack, so the sinister old man who had possessed someone's body had to summon his soul to resist it. Only Yan Kuezi could calmly withstand it, even using the force to sink into the depths of the sea. However, the golden-armored man clearly had no intention of harming anyone. Otherwise, Zhao Wutai and Zidin would certainly not have survived. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He knew that with his own cultivation, he couldn't resist the golden-armored man's sword light unless he summoned his peak-level soul. At this moment, not far away, Qianfeng and Liu Mi also frowned, clearly having noticed something. Xingniu, what do you think of the three of us joining forces to resist the golden-armored man's sword light? Qianfeng's eyes suddenly flashed. Then he said, good. Wang Lin's eyes showed a cold glint as he nodded. Qianfeng's request for Wang Lin to join forces was a last resort. It was obvious that he and Liu Mi couldn't be sure they could withstand a single sword strike. If they couldn't, they wouldn't be able to enter the palace. At this moment, Yan Kuezi and the strange old man had already entered, and any further delay would likely ruin their chances. Now, with Wang Lin's addition, the three of them joining forces would significantly increase their chances of success. Qianfeng didn't underestimate Wang Lin because he was only in the early stages of the nascent soul realm. On the contrary, he considered Wang Lin to be a match for his own strength. Moreover, deep down, Wang Lin, with the 10 billion soul banner in his hand, could eliminate him and seize the treasure. He was extremely wary of Wang Lin. Therefore, he asked Hang Dai to follow Wang Lin so that he could have a chance to seize the cultivation star. Unfortunately, after entering the spiritual mountain, he discovered that obtaining the cultivation star still required overcoming several more obstacles. Previously, Wang Lin wasn't at this level in his eyes. However, deep down, Qianfeng still harbored a trace of arrogance. He thought that if Wang Lin didn't possess the 10 billion Venerable Soul banner, he would absolutely not be able to match him. Hearing Wang Lin's agreement, Qianfeng pondered for a moment before saying, Taoist Zhang, you and I will block the sword light in front, and my junior sister will provide support from behind. What do you think? Wang Lin's calm gaze swept over Qianfeng and Liu Mi. At the same time, Liu Mi's eyes were also fixed on him, and she smiled casually, about to speak, when Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and said in a low voice, There's no need for such trouble. I will be the first to receive the sword light, you two will follow to provide support. Qianfeng was stunned, his eyes flashing. The first to receive the sword light not only had to resist its power, but also guard against the insidious attack from behind. This was extremely dangerous. Qianfeng's reason for suggesting they attack together was precisely because he feared Wang Lin would be hesitant and not unleash his full strength. Moreover, with Liu Mi providing support from behind, even if Wang Lin acted underhandedly, he wouldn't take it to heart. At this moment, Qian Feng had decided that resisting the sword light was his first priority. Eliminating Wang Lin could be considered later. Hearing Wang Lin proactively suggest that he be the first to confront the enemy, Qian Feng felt a little suspicious. But he knew now wasn't the time for careful consideration. So he nodded and said, "Let's do it this way. I'll rely entirely on Dallas Singh." Liu Mi raised her eyebrows. She felt this was a bit strange. After a moment of contemplation, she looked towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't even glance at her, his body soaring towards the approaching golden-armored man. Qian Feng and Liu Mi followed, the three of them forming a pink shape and flying rapidly forward. Just before the three of them got close, the golden-armored man, suspended in midair, froze. He raised the golden sword in his hand, and a dazzling golden light instantly flashed, emitting blinding rays of light. Then he powerfully slashed downwards. Immediately, the 100-foot-long sword light, like a heaven-shattering, earth-shattering strike, roared down from the sky, powerfully tearing through the air in an instant. At this moment, the only sound in the heavens and earth was the deafening roar that reached the 9 heavens, descending with incredible speed and thunder. The surface of the sea parted, creating a chasm that quickly spread out on both sides, revealing a long, deep chasm. Previously, Wang Lin had only witnessed Yan Kuzi and the gloomy old man confronting this challenging sword strike. He hadn't personally participated, so while he felt something, it wasn't deeply ingrained. Now, as he himself faced this sword strike, he immediately sensed a terrifying, world-destroying aura within. Within this aura, his primordial spirit trembled, showing signs of instability. Not only that, but almost every part of his body felt as if countless massive mountains were pressing down on him. This feeling was not unfamiliar to him. Back then, deep within the underground spiritual vein of the soul refining sect, he had felt a similar spiritual power, only now the force was 100, even 1,000 times stronger than then. As the sword light flew out, before it even got close, blood already trickled down the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, yet his eyes still showed an unyielding spirit. Seeing Wang Lin's demeanor, Qian Feng's footsteps paused slightly. He couldn't help but hesitate, his eyes flashing with uncertainty as he wondered whether he should kill Wang Lin to seize the 10 billion soul banner or assist him as originally planned to resist this sword light. A sudden thought flashed through his mind, and he decided to change his plan. He prepared to kill Wang Lin and seize the soul banner, then use the banner's power to completely resist this sword light. All these ideas flashed through his mind in an extremely short time. After making his decision, Qian Feng laughed heartily and said, "Fellow Taoist Singh, don't panic, I'm coming." After saying this, Qian Feng's figure moved swiftly like lightning. This attack had to succeed, so Qian Feng wasn't too anxious, but rather prepared to deliver a blow to Wang Lin that he would never forget. And he had to succeed with that one blow, otherwise, if Wang Lin had the chance to unleash the 10 billion soul banner, it would be disastrous. With her intelligence, Liu Mi immediately understood Qian Feng's intentions. A hint of hesitation flickered in her eyes, but then a cold expression appeared. She didn't rush forward but stayed behind to provide support. She was inherently ruthless. If Qian Feng could kill Wang Lin, it would mean that her heavenly illusion Dao heart would no longer sense his presence, thus eliminating a mental demon from her path to the great Dao. At this moment, the sword light had arrived in front of him, precisely above Wang Lin's head, continuing its relentless assault. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, a hint of mockery appearing at the corner of his mouth. He had volunteered to be the first to confront the sword light, so how could he not have considered the possibility of Qian Feng changing his mind? Everything was exactly as he had anticipated, completely within his expectations. As Qian Feng flew forward like a gust of wind, the sword light roared in midair, ready to strike down. Wang Lin secretly calculated Qian Feng's movements. The moment this figure appeared within 10 meters of him, Wang Lin let out a long laugh, patted his storage bag, and immediately a pagoda flew out from his hand, instantly standing directly in front of him as a shield. A ray of early-stage nascent soul divine consciousness from Zhou Yi instantly emanated from the pagoda. The sword energy struck by this ray of consciousness was momentarily delayed. Taking advantage of this delay, Wang Lin laughed heartily, recalled the pagoda, and with a flash of his body, suddenly darted towards the sea. However, his speed wasn't very fast, always maintaining a distance of 10 meters from Qian Feng. The golden-armored man's eyes narrowed. He didn't pursue Wang Lin further but instead looked towards Qian Feng. He saw that the sword energy, now without the nascent soul divine consciousness to counter it, regained its power and suddenly descended towards Qian Feng. Qian Feng's face changed drastically. He didn't have time to guess why the golden-armored man's sword light wasn't attacking Wang Lin but himself. At this moment, he hurriedly shouted, patted his storage bag, and a red awl instantly appeared in his hand. With a flash, the lightning bolts on the awl intensified wildly, aiming towards the incoming sword light. A mocking expression appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Earlier, when the gloomy old man and the little monkey were clashing with the sword light, he had felt a little suspicious. Analyzing this, he could confirm that the golden-armored man must have judged the man and the monkey to be part of the same group, which is why he unleashed that sword light. Wang Lin calculated that at that time, the distance between the little monkey and the gloomy old man was less than 10 meters. The golden-armored man's attack was within this range. That was the crucial point. Within this range, whoever was closest to the sword light would be attacked. The reason Wang Lin refused to join Qian Feng in resisting, with Liu Mi providing support from behind if necessary, was because that would make them too close together. Although he and Qian Feng were very close, within a distance of 10 zhang, the distance was so close that any slight movement from him could be immediately countered by Qian Feng's quick wit, thus exposing him to their defenses. Therefore, he suggested facing them alone, and Qian Feng fell for the trick. Although inwardly suspicious, he had to agree. In fact, even if Qian Feng hadn't agreed, he wouldn't have suggested the three of them joining forces. Wang Lin also planned to face them alone. He didn't believe that Qian Feng wouldn't launch a sneak attack when facing the sword light alone at the most dangerous moment. However, luring the opponent within 10 zhang would be somewhat troublesome. Nevertheless, Wang Lin had a plan that he was 8 parts certain would lure Qian Feng in. Then Qian Feng proposed a 3-person alliance. At Wang Lin's suggestion, Qian Feng couldn't resist the temptation and, abandoning the plan of everyone defending together, agreed to Wang Lin's deceptive offer to defend alone while he approached to launch a surprise attack. However, Qian Feng didn't realize Wang Lin had already seen through everything. At this moment, Zhou Yu's divine consciousness on the pagoda in front of Wang Lin played a crucial role. Taking advantage of the momentary pause in the sword light, Wang Lin seized the opportunity, swiftly escaping the sword light, leaving Qian Feng closest to it. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, like a flash of lightning. Just as the sword light was about to strike Qian Feng, Wang Lin paused briefly, not immediately rushing out, but instead coldly glancing at Liu Mi, who was standing not far away. A cold smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. In an instant, he lightly patted his storage bag with his right hand, and all the time-themed wooden sculptures flew out. Time! Wang Lin roared, and immediately all the sculptures exploded with a thunderous roar. A surge of time-themed intent burst forth. Although Liu Mi's heavenly illusion intent had reached a high level, Wang Lin had meticulously prepared these time-themed wooden sculptures. While they couldn't inflict serious damage on Liu Mi, and even the delay was brief, in this critical moment, even a slight delay could be fatal. Liu Mi's movements slowed slightly. Wang Lin's figure immediately descended below Liu Mi. At this moment, 2 streaks of sword light appeared in the air, suddenly merging into one and flashing down furiously, their target now being Liu Mi. A murderous glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He lightly tapped the void in front of him with his right hand, and a forbidden artifact suddenly shot out from his fingertip, aiming at Liu Mi. Wang Lin didn't consider the outcome. He knew that time was of the essence, and without hesitation, he swiftly moved into the depths of the sea. Deep within the sea, a massive palace was emitting bursts of golden light. Wang Lin's figure flashed, and he rushed towards the palace at top speed. A strange force enveloped the depths of the sea. Without even trying, Wang Lin knew this force was meant to restrict teleportation magic. He had experienced this feeling before in some strange places, so he naturally understood. Just as his body was about to enter the palace, a sudden roar erupted from the sea above. The seawater around Wang Lin parted sharply, and 100-foot-long sword light descended from the sky at incredible speed, pursuing him relentlessly. As the sword light drew closer, Wang Lin could even feel powerful gusts of wind, like sharp arrows, coming from above. A sharp pain shot down from the crown of his head. He gritted his teeth, realizing he was less than 100 feet from entering the palace, but the sword light behind him was already closing in. A trickle of blood flowed from Wang Lin's forehead, the pain intensifying. 90 feet, 80 feet, 70 feet, 60 feet. The distance shortened rapidly, but the howling sound of the sword light above his head echoed in his mind. Wang Lin exerted all his strength to fly faster, spitting out a mouthful of immortal blood in midair before forcefully slapping his storage bag. A battle axe instantly appeared in his hand. In an instant, he turned around, let out a loud shout, and held the battle axe horizontally in front of him. At this moment, the approaching sword light suddenly paused briefly above the battle axe. Wang Lin's face turned red, and he spat out another mouthful of immortal blood, his primordial spirit shaken. He let out a low growl, and with the thought immediately raised his right hand and slapped his storage bag. A treasure pagoda flew out from within. The Qi intent immediately spread out, and the sword light paused for a moment. Taking advantage of this delay, Wang Lin's body moved faster than lightning, instantly covering a distance of 50 zhang, finally entering the palace. The moment his figure entered the palace, the sword light flashed and slowly faded away. Blood trickled from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth. He retrieved his battle axe and pagoda, immediately sat down cross-legged, and devoured a large quantity of elixirs. Feeling pain all over his body, he gritted his teeth and took out a piece of immortal jade. After staring at it for a moment, he swallowed it in one gulp. Immediately, an boundless stream of immortal power flowed through his body. After circulating it once, Wang Lin felt his body lighten. Using the immortal power to suppress his internal injuries, he stood up, kicked off, and sped towards the palace. Meanwhile, above the sea, as the sword light approached, Liu Mi was about to dodge when a protective barrier suddenly flew towards her from behind. Her expression changed, and she gritted her teeth, spitting out a stream of white mist. Within the mist, a white ribbon fluttered, striking down and instantly shattering the barrier. The white ribbon then descended, wrapping around her entire body. In the blink of an eye, she escaped 1,000 feet away as the sword light flashed and vanished without a trace. The golden-armored man did not continue his attack. His duty was to guard this place. Only those who met the requirements were allowed to enter the palace. There was only one requirement, the ability to withstand sword light. At this moment, Qianfeng was also extremely struggling, dodging and escaping. Fortunately, the sword light only forced him to leave without pursuing or attacking further. Zheng Niu, I, Xiaofan, swear that I will definitely tear you to shreds. If I break this oath, I, Qianfeng, will not die a peaceful death. Qianfeng's face was ferocious, and he roared madly. Liu Mi's face was gloomy, staring silently at the sea. Seeing that after a while, Qianfeng was still roaring like a madman, her delicate eyebrows furrowed and she said, "Shut up! If it weren't for your ill intentions, if the three of us had truly joined forces, we could have already entered the palace by now, not been in this situation." Qianfeng's face was ferocious, and he glared fiercely at Liu Mi, saying, "You and that brat conspired to do evil, exchanging glances when I wasn't looking, didn't you? Sister, don't forget what you promised me back then." Liu Mi stared coldly at Qianfeng, saying, "With Yan Kuezi there, it will be very difficult for Zheng Niu to retrieve his soul. Yan Kuezi won't let him succeed so easily." Qianfeng took a deep breath, retracting the fierce expression on his face, then patted his storage bag, saying in a low voice, "That old fellow gave me something, originally intended to counter the 10 billion soul banner. If that thing can counter the soul banner, it might also have some use on a peak-level cultivator. After Yan Kuezi comes out, I will immediately offer it up. I only want his soul. If he doesn't hand it over, he'll die anyway, so I have to fight to the death." In the underwater palace, Wang Lin was now faced with a massive passageway. Several luminous pearls flickered on all sides, emitting a series of eerie lights. These lights were unlike fire, but rather a strange phenomenon Wang Lin had never encountered before. Within this gloomy light, only the seemingly endless passageway stretched as far as the eye could see, winding and twisting, the atmosphere within it tinged with a strange airiness. Wang Lin's eyes showed caution as he cautiously advanced. The passageway seemed to have no end. He had entered long before, yet the surrounding scenery remained unchanged. Inside, Wang Lin dared not release his divine consciousness. Previously, when he first entered this place, even a trace of his divine consciousness had instantly vanished without a trace, as if devoured by something in the void. Since then, Wang Lin had been extremely careful. After an unknown period of time, a series of magical fluctuations suddenly emanated from the passage ahead. Wang Lin's eyes widened, his body froze, and he cautiously extended his divine consciousness forward. Immediately, Wang Lin's expression changed. The point where his divine consciousness had been released was the end of the passage. There, a vast open space lay. In the center of the open space stood a tall tower, topped with a throne. Seated upon it was a man wearing a red robe, his hair disheveled. He appeared to be middle-aged, his demeanor extremely serene, yet exuding an air of majestic arrogance. His eyes were closed, and he seemed lifeless, clearly a dead man. However, as he sat there, an overwhelming aura emanated from him, a dense, unyielding energy swirling around him. The moment Wang Lin's consciousness caught sight of the man, an uncontrollable urge surged within him, a desire to kneel and worship. He channeled his immortal power to suppress this impulse. An invisible force seemed to soften everyone's hearts, shaking their minds. Before him hovered an object, a fist-sized speck of light emitting bursts of purple light. This light shone upon the middle-aged man, leaving a dark shadow behind him. However, at this moment, the light was dim, as if it could extinguish at any moment, flickering between bright and dim. The instant Wang Lin's consciousness touched this light, a colossal force erupted from within, instantly surging towards Wang Lin's consciousness. Wang Lin's consciousness immediately recoiled frantically. In the passageway, Wang Lin's face turned pale, his eyes filled with terror. The first-generation vermilion bird, Yu Waiu. He almost instantly guessed the identity of the middle-aged man. As for the source of those purple light beams, it was naturally the cultivation star essence. However, Wang Lin felt something was amiss. In his eyes, although this cultivation star essence was as Sichuan had described, when Wang Lin's divine consciousness touched it, he didn't sense any life force within. "Since you're here, come in." Yan Kuesi's voice came from inside the passage. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Previously, when his divine consciousness entered that place, he only paid attention to the great vermilion bird and the cultivation star essence. He hadn't noticed Yan Kuesi and the old man Yin Shen, who had already entered. Wang Lin pondered for a moment before moving forward. Not long after, he reached the end of the passage and entered the open space. At this moment, as he entered, the feeling of vibration intensified. A feeling of inferiority, like seeing himself before 100 Jiankal Tower, instantly surged in Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin took a deep breath, his eyes flashing as he spotted Yan Kuesi in the far corner. Yan Kuesi's face was pale, and he sat cross-legged, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. He looked somewhat listless, and without enthusiasm, he looked at Wang Lin and said with a hoarse laugh, "I was right about you. You are the third person to enter this place." A cautious look appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he said in a low voice, "Where is he?" Yan Kuesi's expression was grim as he said, "I used a formation to trap him. He is still inside the formation at this moment." "Wang Lin, I am seriously injured. Please take this cultivation star crystal with you. Take it to the immortal tribe, or to any cultivator. I cannot allow this cultivation star crystal to shatter." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He glanced at Yan Kuesi and calmly said, "You want me to take this cultivation star essence?" Yan Kuesi took a deep breath and sighed. "I know you're extremely apprehensive. If you use your divine sense to examine me, you'll understand. I'm like a lamp running out of oil right now. That old man with the monkey isn't from the vermilion bird star. This person's magical abilities are extremely bizarre. I can only trap him for a short time. Once he escapes, he will definitely steal the cultivation star essence. At that time, all the people of the vermilion bird star will face a great danger." Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He looked up at the purple light in front of the first-generation vermilion bird, Yu Waiu, above the pagoda. Without hesitation, he immediately retreated. Using a speed several times faster than when he entered, Wang Lin frantically retreated towards the passage. Yan Kuesi's eyes flashed, and his body instantly vanished from the spot. When he reappeared, he stood blocking the passage, glaring menacingly at Wang Lin, shouting, "Why are you running?" Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he retreated a few steps, staring back at Yan Kuesi. He raised his left hand, and the 10 billion soul banner instantly condensed in his hand. He calmly said, "This junior doesn't want to die." Yan Kuesi's face darkened as he looked at Wang Lin and sneered, How did you figure that out? Wang Lin stared at Yan Kuzi and said in a low voice, "That wasn't the star of cultivation. Moreover, you still have the ability to teleport like that. Even if you were injured as you said, it wouldn't be that serious." Yan Kuzi laughed heartily, a hint of admiration in his eyes, saying, as expected, of one of the four I selected. "That's right, that thing isn't the essence of cultivation. After I arrived here, I immediately knew it was just a spirit guide. If you want to retrieve your soul, you just need to touch that thing." Wang Lin's gaze was calm, and he said nothing, silently looking at Yan Kuzi, slowly tightening his grip on the 10 billion soul banner in his hand. "I won't deceive you. Using a spirit guide to retrieve your soul requires a great price, which is why I'm asking you to help me retrieve it. If you agree, I will certainly give you a precious treasure. In the deepest part of my immortal tribe, there is an ancestral altar. Our clan's ancestor obtained the power there to break through from the 11th leaf to the 12th leaf. You help me retrieve my soul, and I'll take you inside to raise your cultivation level by 1 stage. How about that?" Yan Kuzi said in a low voice. Wang Lin's eyes showed a thoughtful expression. Yan Kuzi seemed a little anxious and impatient, continuing, "Wang Lin, go ahead and remove that cultivation star. Don't force me to take action. You know, I have no intention of killing you." Wang Lin glanced at Yan Kuzi and said, "What if you break your promise? Tell me the method of using that straw hat as collateral." Wang Lin still had the straw hat that Yan Kuzi had given him years ago in his storage bag, but it contained many complex formations, and without the right method, it would be impossible to manipulate them completely. Yan Kuzi's eyes flashed. It seemed that Wang Lin couldn't escape now, and the only option was to follow his instructions. Therefore, he took out a jade slip, concentrated his mind, wrote on it, and threw it towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught it without any hesitation, glanced at it, confirmed it was genuine, and then put it into his storage bag. Next, his body moved, holding the 10 billion soul banner, transforming into a rainbow and flying straight up to the tower in the sky. Almost instantly, he arrived before the first generation of Vermilion bird sons. Looking at the heroic figure of that era, Wang Lin fell silent, his gaze slightly calm, especially as he glanced at the shadow behind him, his eyes fixed on the purple cluster above. He stood beside the purple light illuminated by it, yet strangely, no shadow existed on the ground. "Place your hand above and call out my name. Don't harbor any treacherous intentions, or if you disobey, I will surely kill you today." The Vermilion bird son's eyes flickered as he spoke quickly. "Today, Senior, you have greatly disappointed me. I don't know if the effect of the spirit guide is as you said, but I do know one thing. If I follow your method, I'm afraid I'll perish instantly even without you lifting a finger." The moment Wang Lin finished speaking, Yan Kuzi's expression changed. His figure flickered, and the 10 billion soul banner in Wang Lin's hand trembled. Countless souls cried out from within, instantly filling the surroundings. At the same time, Wang Lin quickly retreated, letting out a low growl. The souls within the 10 billion soul banner immediately screamed wildly, rushing towards the shadow behind the first generation Vermilion bird. In that instant, a series of cracking sounds erupted from behind the first generation Vermilion bird. Simultaneously, a prolonged cackling laugh came from within, and then a crimson light flashed wildly from inside, causing the shadow to collapse. The old man, with a deep, ominous stride, stepped forward. The small monkey on his shoulder, moving at incredible speed, leapt out and charged straight towards Yan Kuzi. Yan Kuzi's expression darkened. He stopped, his hands sweeping across the void, and instantly a golden talisman materialized from nothingness, continuously rotating in front of him. "That brat, your formation is truly formidable. You've used the residual power of a deceased person, combined with your own cultivation, to create a shadow seal and imprison me within. This kind of shadow seal is extremely rare. Even in ancient times, your mastery of it is no simple feat. If the original owner of the body had descended, a single punch could shatter it. Yet, now merely a fragment of a soul possessing another body has been trapped by you. You've accomplished this much today. You'll have something to boast about in your next life." The old man's eyes flashed with a crimson light. Yan Kuzi snorted softly. The runes surrounding his body immediately launched a fierce attack. His target not the gloomy old man, but the howling little monkey. "This puppet, it's the true hiding place of your consciousness. Even if your main body becomes powerful again, it won't be able to stop it, Yan Kuezi whispered. Earlier, Wang Lin's divine consciousness had noticed the shadow behind Yu Waiyu. Only later, when he stood here and realized there was no shadow of himself, did he realize something was strange and decided to take a gamble. Otherwise, Yan Kuezi would have already taken it himself, not waited until now. That said, even if a third person entered, not himself, Yan Kuezi would still have sent someone to take the life soul. In the blink of an eye, the gloomy old man shattered the illusion and emerged. The soul banner in Wang Lin's hand trembled, and the souls gathered around him, wrapping around his body. Neither the old man possessed by Descent nor Yan Kuezi were targets Wang Lin wanted to provoke at this moment. He was certain he didn't need the cultivation star essence, he only needed to leave quickly. But suddenly, the place shook violently. This shaking was extremely intense, like the heavens and earth collapsing. Especially the pagoda, which now emitted several cracking sounds, and a crack appeared. The cultivation star essence began to crumble once again. A fierce crack appeared above the pagoda, like a dragon breaking free and flying upwards, rapidly advancing from below, its path filled with continuous cracking sounds. Unexpectedly, this crack extended all the way to the top of the tower, reaching the seat of the first-generation vermilion bird, Yu Waiyu. At this moment, a clear, resonant sound suddenly echoed in his ears. The throne where Yu Waiyu sat suddenly split into two pieces as the tower descended from above. As for Yu Waiyu's body, it trembled and suddenly turned into dust, dissipating into the air. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. At this moment, not only he, Yan Kuezi, the gloomy old man, but also the little monkey, all stopped fighting, their eyes fixed on the spot where Yu Waiyu had turned into dust. A white crystal, about half the size of a fist, slowly floated out from where Yu Waiyu had turned into dust. The moment Wang Lin saw this white crystal, he immediately sensed a connected soul fluctuating within it. Cultivation star crystal, Yan Kuezi's voice was agitated, his figure like lightning, flying straight forward. But this little monkey was faster, and the gloomy old man, one after the other, flew quickly towards them. At this point, the distance to Wang Lin was not very close, and he couldn't be as quick as the others. He stared at the white crystal, gritted his teeth, and decisively decided not to participate in the struggle. Instead, his soul banner enveloped his entire body, and he quickly flew towards the passage not far away. The gloomy old man was close enough. In a flash, he grabbed the white crystal, looked up at the sky, and laughed loudly. The day my master escapes the encirclement is right before my eyes. But in the blink of an eye, just as his hand grasped the white crystal, his expression suddenly changed. His long laughter abruptly stopped, his eyes widened in disbelief, and as he desperately tried to release his grip, his body trembled. Unexpectedly, with a speed visible to the naked eye, he instantly turned into a wisp of smoke, completely disappearing into the white crystal. All of this happened extremely quickly, almost instantaneously. As the old man turned into smoke, a flash of red light appeared in the void, flying towards the little monkey and merging with it. The little monkey let out a loud cry, its entire body's aura suddenly expanding several times. At this moment, its strength was almost equal to that of Yan Kuezi, reaching the late stage of the nascent soul realm. Although it was very close to the crystal, it hesitated, not daring to grab it. At this moment, Yan Kuezi, like lightning, lunged forward with a claw attack from a distance, but immediately let out a pained scream, his body emitting streams of white energy that frightened him into quickly letting go. Fortunately, he only grabbed it from a distance and didn't actually touch it. Otherwise, he would certainly have met with misfortune. This unexpected turn of events, without any prior warning, left both the little monkey and Yan Kuezi in a dilemma. Just then, the white crystal suddenly let out a loud cry, flashing and heading towards Yan Kuezi. Yan Kuezi's face changed drastically as he quickly dodged. The white crystal flashed and unexpectedly flew towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He saw the scene of the gloomy old man mysteriously disappearing, and immediately turned around and flew towards the passage. His whole body was covered by the soul-slaying banner, making his speed much faster than usual. The path in this passage was not all straight but had bends, but this white crystal seemed to have a mind of its own, unexpectedly aiming straight at Wang Lin, as if pursuing him to the very end. Yan Kuezi's face darkened, and his figure flashed in pursuit. As for the little monkey, its figure moved slightly and transformed into a black streak, sweeping in pursuit. In an instant, there was no one left around the pagoda. At this moment, a purple light condensed from the top of the pagoda, slowly forming a figure, clearly the masked man from before the spiritual mountain. His eyes showed a hint of bewilderment, but immediately cleared, muttering, "The star of cultivation has collapsed. This vermilion bird has quite the audacity." Wang Lin was running ahead, with the white crystal relentlessly pursuing him from behind. Moreover, its speed increased with each passing moment, occasionally flashing, closing the distance between them. Seeing that it was less than 3 meters away, Wang Lin forcefully turned around, his eyes revealing a cold glint. He formed a hand seal, channeling his immortal power forward and striking, instantly causing a strange whine to rise and blow towards the white crystal. Wang Lin's intention was to blow this object away. It was too bizarre, and he didn't want to touch it. But the crystal suddenly flashed, unexpectedly shattering the strange wind and flying rapidly towards him, reaching his side in an instant. Wang Lin gritted his teeth, hastily retreating to maintain distance, and tried to grab the crystal from behind, intending to throw it away, but he suddenly realized he couldn't throw it away. He paused for a moment, his eyes flashing, and without hesitation, he quickly fled. But at this moment, a strange force from within the white crystal suddenly entered his body through his right arm, which was grasping it from a distance, with lightning speed. A deafening explosion resounded in Wang Lin's head. Strange runes immediately appeared in his mind. These runes transformed into swarms of lightning bolts, frantically rushing into Wang Lin's head. This feeling was not unfamiliar to Wang Lin. Back then, when he obtained the ancient god Tut's inherited memories, he had experienced something similar. At this moment, the runes flashed wildly in his mind, and images swirled around him. The first image was of a man radiating immense majesty, his feet resting on a massive star compass. This star compass was dark purple, its surface flashing with strange electrical sparks, and a series of rumbling explosions echoed through the air where it flew. In front of this man was a huge immortal pavilion suspended in the air with 3 large, clear characters written above it. Immortal Seal Pavilion. The man moved with incredible speed, instantly entering the immortal pavilion. "Stop!" A voice emanating from the void within the immortal pavilion resonated with boundless majesty, causing a powerful shock to the minds of all who heard it. But the middle-aged man's expression remained unchanged. He clasped his hands and said, "Junior Yiwao from the Vermilion Bird Kingdom has just been promoted to level 6. And I have been ordered by the Cultivation Alliance to receive the Vermilion Bird Seal." Wang Lin's body trembled. At this moment, his entire mind felt as if it were being swept away by a whirlwind, completely merging into the painting. However, his footsteps not only didn't stop, but became increasingly bizarre. A crimson light appeared beneath his feet, and a vast force suddenly emanated from Wang Lin. This force didn't originate from his body, but from the crimson light beneath his feet. As the crimson light appeared, Wang Lin's speed suddenly increased, flashing out of the passage with an unbelievable, frenzied speed. In pursuit from behind was Yan Kuezi, who cried out in alarm, his face turning grim, his eyes filled with disbelief. Vermilion Bird Seal. How did this Zhang Ni radiate the aura of the Vermilion Bird Seal? In Wang Lin's mind, the image of that majestic man entering the immortal pavilion flashed. The immortal pavilion had countless floors, and this man stopped at the 3rd floor. Vermilion Bird Seal, a low-level divine technique of the inherited method, only a titled cultivator can perform it. The voice from the void echoed again, and at the same time, a crimson light slowly formed a seal from the void. This seal looked extremely complex. Vaguely, Wang Lin suddenly felt a resemblance between this seal and the runes on the immortal tribe's skull. But upon closer inspection, it was completely different, a very strange feeling. At this moment, the seal slowly flew towards the man, gradually merging with his forehead. A sudden pain shot through Wang Lin's forehead. This kind of pain was almost unprecedented, like his soul being imprinted. At this moment, he felt as if he had lost himself, transforming into that majestic man. The pain intensified, and Wang Lin couldn't help but scream. His body moved even faster, the intensity of the crimson light becoming dazzling. Behind him was Yan Kuezi, his eyes filled with even deeper disbelief. He stared blankly at the crimson light enveloping Wang Lin, muttering, This is the Vermilion Bird inheritance. How is this possible? Without the vermilion bird's acceptance, without merging with the cultivation star, how could the person in front of him receive the vermilion bird inheritance? As for the little monkey, its eyes flashed with crimson light, staring at Wang Lin with a gloomy expression. Wang Lin's roar echoed through the passage. His figure, like lightning, suddenly shot out of the passage, directly flashing out of the palace entrance and appearing in the depths of the sea. He didn't stop, continuing to ascend towards the surface. At this moment, all parts of his body were enveloped in crimson light, and a trace of vermilion bird aura instantly permeated the surroundings. His eyes, once clear, were now a dark, struggling mass. In his head, pain surged like waves from 3 directions, a prolonged agony that was almost unbearable. Veins bulged all over his body, and his eyes were bloodshot. The injuries that had been suppressed within his body at this moment finally erupted uncontrollably. However, these injuries were immediately suppressed by the crimson light that swept over them. A majestic voice suddenly echoed in Wang Lin's mind. Do you wish to become the vermilion bird's successor? To guard the vermilion bird star until your lifespan ends. In Wang Lin's mind, this voice boomed like spring thunder, rumbling loudly. Wang Lin's eyes brightened. At this moment, he felt as if simply agreeing would allow him to inherit the vermilion bird seal. Although his cultivation was only at the early nascent soul stage, with the vermilion bird seal, he could fight against a peak-level cultivator. I don't want to, Wang Lin replied in his mind. What Wang Lin pursued was not this, becoming a vermilion bird's successor. In his mind, after the answer was transmitted, he vaguely heard a sigh, then all the red light on his body flashed and then suddenly disappeared quickly. Finally, it all condensed on his right hand, which was the white crystal. With this withdrawal, besides the red light, the imprints in Wang Lin's mind also disappeared like a receding tide, quickly vanishing as if they had never appeared. Life soul. During this process, Wang Lin shouted inwardly, "One life for one life." The voice came again and slowly faded away, but in Wang Lin's mind, a strange rune emitted dark light. Sensing this rune, Wang Lin's heart suddenly brightened, and he suddenly understood. To retrieve the life soul from the cultivation star, it would inevitably require a life for a life. Except for this method, the other option is to wait for this soul to be absorbed by a spirit beast, and after the fusion is complete, kill the spirit beast to seize the soul. However, the second method is a matter of chance in the vast universe. Encountering such a thing is purely a matter of luck and cannot be forced. At this moment, Wang Lin's figure surged up from within the sea. Behind him, Yan Kuezi followed closely. As for the consciousness of Tusen hidden on the little monkey, it had now vanished without a trace. In the instant he emerged from the sea, Wang Lin's mind completely regained its clarity. He could confirm that this object had absolutely no connection with the extreme realm, let alone the ability to cause the extreme realm to evolve. Almost instantly, without hesitation, he threw the white crystal in his hand, shouting, "Here, this is the essence of cultivation." The direction he threw it was towards 2 people outside, precisely where Qianfeng and Li Mi were located. The 2 of them had been waiting outside. At this moment, seeing Wang Lin and the other to rush out, Qianfeng was about to summon the magic treasure that Juquezi had given him earlier when he suddenly saw white light thrown from Wang Lin's hand. His eyes flashed, but he didn't immediately catch it. He immediately regretted it, because he saw Yan Kuezi's speed suddenly increase, bypassing Wang Lin and heading straight towards the spirit stone. Qianfeng gritted his teeth, and without a word, he potted his storage bag. Immediately, a green bronze figure appeared in his hand. This bronze figure was covered with countless black dots, and a black light emanated from these dots. After summoning this treasure, Qianfeng clasped his hands together, and suddenly a flush appeared on his face. A mouthful of immortal blood spurted from his mouth, directly landing on the bronze figure. At that very moment, in an instant, the bronze figure absorbed all the blood, emitting a dark red light that gradually diffused into a purple halo. Yan Kuezi's figure suddenly stopped, his face turning grim as he stared intently at the bronze figure. "Vermilion bird," Yan Kuezi said in a low voice. As soon as his words fell, Qianfeng's body suddenly began to tremble, and then a series of white lights quickly scattered from his mouth, nose, and 7 orifices. Uncontrollably absorbed by the bronze figure, Qianfeng's eyes showed fear. He suddenly raised his right arm, grasping a jade slip, and crushed it. The moment the jade slip was crushed, a powerful force condensed within it in front of Qianfeng. A loud bang erupted, and his body was thrown back 10 meters. The white light beams immediately scattered, with more than half returning to his body. The bronze figure, having absorbed a large amount of white light, unexpectedly began to melt, transforming into a mass of liquid bronze. But then, this mass of bronze seemed to boil, and a wisp of pink smoke rose from within. In midair, it suddenly condensed into a person, unexpectedly becoming Vermilion Birdsun. At this moment, Vermilion Birdsun's face was no longer aged as before, but had a rosy glow. Junior brother, this game is now reaching its climax. The best way for me to come here, borrowing the incarnation of Qianfeng, is to reunite with you. After saying this, he flicked his right hand, and the white crystal instantly flew into his hand like lightning. Vermilion Birdsun held the crystal and suddenly struck his forehead, causing the crystal to instantly merge into his body. Yanquezi's expression darkened, and he snorted softly. He gestured with his hands, and a cluster of runes instantly flashed into existence, radiating an incredibly powerful pressure. Juquezi laughed heartily, his body flashing, and a massive crimson mist instantly enveloped him. This mist swirled violently, enveloping everything within a 10-mile radius, including Yanquezi. Within this crimson cloud, powerful waves of magical energy surged forth. A battle between Yanquezi and Juquezi began. However, obscured by the crimson cloud, those outside couldn't see clearly. Juquezi also didn't notice that in the instant the crimson cloud dispersed, the figure of a small monkey flashed into the sea and disappeared. At this moment, only 5 people remained outside the crimson cloud: Qianfeng, Liumi, Juwutai, Yidin, and finally, Wang Lin. A murderous glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He grabbed the 10 billion soul banner from the void with his right hand. He stared grimly at Qianfeng and Liumi, slowly saying, "Die." Qianfeng gasped for breath. Earlier, he had been drained of a large amount of his magical power by Juquezi using a strange method, leaving him extremely weak. His hatred for Juquezi was boundless. Luckily, I didn't listen to him. If I had used this bronze man while fighting someone, I wouldn't have been able to kill my enemy before he drained me dry. Qianfeng gritted his teeth, but this wasn't the time to hate Juquezi. The most important thing now was how to deal with the murderous aura before him. In fact, Juquezi's intentions towards Qianfeng hadn't been something new. If the immortal tribe hadn't suddenly emerged, it would have given Juquezi more time. And perhaps he would have truly succeeded in devising a way to avoid the cycle of reincarnation and possess Qianfeng's body to prolong his lifespan. Juquezi had already begun his plan when Qianfeng was young, making him absorb a certain kind of profound understanding and experience of the heavenly Tao shared by a group of people. He did this not for Qianfeng, but mostly for himself. The method he employed on Qianfeng was actually a type of magic that Juquezi had secretly researched for generations. However, this magic was not entirely successful, with a success rate of less than 1%. Even if it were truly successful, it could only temporarily alleviate the suffering, at most adding a few decades to his lifespan. And to gain those few decades of lifespan, he would have to pay a huge price. That bronze figure is the key. It was crafted by the 4th generation of the Vermilion Bird sect, using extraterrestrial iron that had undergone countless refinements. Furthermore, it was continuously refined by subsequent generations, finally becoming a tool with some supernatural abilities that could condense and absorb lifespan. In fact, the reason this bronze figure possesses such supernatural abilities is mainly due to some transformations of the essence of cultivation, which were then comprehended by successive generations of the Vermilion Bird sect. However, the object is not yet perfect and contains many fatal flaws. For example, although the current Vermilion Bird sect is said to have transformed from an object and appears vibrant and full of life, in reality, it is like a powerful bow that has run out of steam. It's only temporary. The 10 billion soul banner in Wang Lin's hand trembled, and countless souls immediately flew out, roaring and filling the heavens and earth, like a series of whirlwinds emitting mournful wails that permeated the entire sky. Fusion! A murderous glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. As soon as he spoke, the souls surrounding him merged. Almost instantly, 6 main souls, though not yet at the peak inquiry stage, were several times more powerful than ordinary late-stage nascent soul cultivators. The remnant soul of the unicorn was also among them. Fighting you two doesn't require merging with the peak inquiry stage. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He potted his storage bag, and a battle axe instantly appeared in his hand. He swung his arm, and his entire body soared into the sky before slashing downwards. Qian Feng's face changed drastically. He potted his storage bag, and a vermilion bird trident in his hand trembled. A red lightning bolt immediately roared out from within, transforming into a rainbow and flying towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was cold. He swung the battle axe in his hand, and a beam of light flashed from the blade. At the same time, he let out a loud shout and threw the battle axe forward. A deafening explosion ripped through the air, and the battle axe roared forward. The vermilion bird's cudgel, which had been emitting electric sparks, instantly shattered, and the battle axe came crashing down. A fierce glint appeared in Qian Feng's eyes. He let out a low growl, his hands forming a hand seal as he pointed forward. The moment the battle axe approached, his entire body suddenly radiated a dazzling red light. The vermilion bird mystic formation had been activated. A deafening sound suddenly echoed across the heavens. Qian Feng staggered back several steps, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The upper half of his clothes instantly disintegrated with a hissing sound, turning to dust, leaving a strange pattern suddenly appearing on his chest. The battle axe, struck by a powerful counterforce, flew back. Wang Lin slightly extended his body and caught the battle axe. The 6 main souls released by Wang Lin's 10 billion venerable soul banner roared in the air, splitting into 2 groups, 4 attacking Liu Mi and the remaining 2. 1 to the left and 1 to the right, hurtling towards Xiao Feng. Liu Mi's expression changed slightly. She glanced warily at the venerable soul banner, gritting her teeth, and a white light shot from her mouth. This white light instantly transformed into a silk sash with a gold embroidered pattern in the air. The silk sash instantly billowed, enveloping Liu Mi's entire body. Suddenly, she broke through a gap in the encirclement of the 4 main souls, her whole body covered by the white sash transforming into a white beam of light as she sped away into the distance. Chase her, kill her. Wang Lin shouted softly. Among the 4 main souls, including the remnant soul of the Qilin, they instantly flashed into action, frantically pursuing her. Qian Feng, facing the attack of 2 main souls, continued to retreat. His face grim, he potted his storage bag, and a red fan appeared in his hand. He spat a mouthful of immortal blood onto the fan and swung it forcefully. A massive whirlwind instantly appeared, sweeping wildly in all directions. This whirlwind seemed specifically designed to suppress souls, slowing down the movements of the 2 main souls. Wang Lin snorted coldly, patted his storage bag, and 4 identical sword scabbards instantly appeared before him. A glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he pointed forward. The 4 scabbards, like shooting stars, roared forward to attack. 4 streaks of sword light shot out from within the scabbards, transforming into sword beams over 3 feet long, radiating an overwhelming sword intent. Break, Wang Lin coldly shouted, and the 4 scabbards immediately charged forward with a furious roar, their sword intent overwhelming. Qian Feng's face changed drastically. He threw the fan in his hand forward and retreated, preparing to flee. But the fan, almost just appearing beside the scabbards, was instantly shattered by the 4 scabbards, which continued their fierce attack, relentlessly pursuing him. The 2 main souls, no longer hindered by the fan, instantly increased their speed, catching up to Qian Feng. With a loud bang, Qian Feng's body trembled, his primordial spirit violently shaking, nearly flying out of his body. Fortunately, at this critical moment, the vermilion bird mystic formation immediately activated, thus blocking the attack of the 2 main souls. Qian Feng's expression turned grim. He recoiled sharply, shouting, "Zheng Niu, don't push me too far." He yelled, spitting out a beam of green light. This light instantly transformed into a block of green wood. A strange aura emanated from the green wood, and as it caught the wind, it expanded, eventually becoming a massive piece of wood about 10 meters long. Cut! Qian Feng's face turned pale as he shouted. The green wood immediately shattered into pieces. Almost instantly, as if an invisible hand had carved it, a figure appeared on top of the green wood. This figure was clearly Wang Lin. "Destroy!" Qian Feng shouted again. This time, his face was ashen, pale and bloodless, and his body trembled with terror. Most of his lifespan had been stolen, and he was clearly no match for Wang Lin. In the blink of an eye, as Qian Feng uttered the word destroy, Wang Lin, who was advancing forward, suddenly paused, his expression subtly changing. An invisible force surged from the green wooden staff, and then he seemed to see a green blade flash out from within, aiming directly at his head. A deathly shadow suddenly enveloped Wang Lin's entire body. Jian Feng, after all, was a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator and a disciple of the Vermilion Bird, so how could he lack magical artifacts? He probably possessed far more than Wang Lin. Wang Lin had never heard of this green wooden staff before. Its strangeness lay in its difficulty in defending against it. At this moment, he wanted to retreat, but found himself trapped by a strange force, unable to move even a millimeter. Seeing the green blade flash, Jian Feng actually advanced, a cruel smile appearing on his lips. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. With a thought, a main soul instantly flashed into existence in front of him. With a loud bang, it began to self-destruct. The self-destruction of the main soul unleashed an overwhelming aura that spread wildly. The confinement surrounding Wang Lin immediately collapsed, and his body instantly flashed to the side, dodging the incoming blade. Qian Feng's eyes showed unwillingness. Without a word, he turned and fled. How could Wang Lin let him escape? With a grab of his right hand in the void, the 10 billion soul banner instantly appeared in his hand. With a tremor, a large number of souls roared out. Feng, Wang Lin shouted, and immediately all the souls silently dispersed in all directions. Within a 10-mile radius, these souls formed a huge circle, trapping Qian Feng within it. At the same time, the battle axe in Wang Lin's hand swept forward, aiming at the green wooden beam and striking down. The beam vibrated and suddenly split in two. Qian Feng spat out another mouthful of blood. Die! Wang Lin roared softly, immediately swinging the large axe in his hand. Simultaneously, the four sword scabbards inside turned pitch black, and earth-shattering roars erupted. Four frenzied sword intents transformed into sword jie, rushing towards Qian Feng from the east, west, south, and north with a destructive force. Not only that, the 10 billion soul banner in Wang Lin's hand trembled. The banner immediately shook, transforming into a series of dissipating points of light that merged with the surrounding souls, instantly releasing a restraining force from all four directions. Within this area covered by the souls, a powerful oppressive force descended from the heavens. Under this pressure, even teleportation would be slightly affected. Qian Feng's eyes showed panic, and he angrily shouted, "Zheng Niu, we have no great enmity between us. You shouldn't try to kill me." Wang Lin's eyes flashed like lightning, staring at Qian Feng and saying each word distinctly. "I'm killing you because I promised Han Dai." Qian Feng laughed maniacally, shouting, "Zheng Niu, if you didn't have the 10 billion venerable soul banner, killing you would be as easy as pie. You forced my hand, and today, even if I have to die, I will cripple your 10 billion venerable soul banner." Wang Lin's eyes flashed with coldness, and he lowered his voice, saying, "Accept death." From the four directions east, south, west, and north, four streaks of sword energy pierced through the air, their target being Qian Feng. The powerful aura of the four streaks of sword energy seemed capable of shattering the void. Qian Feng's face turned ferocious. He took a deep breath and unleashed the full power of the Vermilion Bird mystic formation. A dense red aura briefly appeared around his body. At the same time, he potted his storage bag and carefully took out an object. It was an iron sword. A sword heavily rusted, like an iron sword from the mortal world. Precisely on its surface were numerous scattered red dots emitting a strong, pungent smell of blood. Obviously, these red dots were formed by the infusion of immortal blood. This object belonged to the ancestor of the Qian family, a secret left behind by a generation of Vermilion Bird disciples. Even later generations of Vermilion Bird disciples don't know about it. "Zheng Niu, I have the Vermilion Bird mystic formation. You can't kill me if you can't break it. Now that I have this sword, I can kill you," Qian Feng said, and swung the iron sword in his hand. The sword emitted an aura that gave people the feeling of an ancient divine statue. The moment the iron sword appeared, it immediately shocked even the Vermilion Bird and Cloud Bird, who were standing quite far away. Wang Lin's gaze was like lightning, staring intently at the iron sword. To be honest, he was only looking at the rust stains on the sword. There are a few drops of dried blood on the sword, and within the blood is a very familiar aura, the blood of an ancient god. This is the true blood of an ancient god. The mixed blood of the giant demon clan cannot compare. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He stared at the rust stains on the sword, his eyes flashing with brilliant light. No, how could an ancient god be injured by such an ordinary object? This sword is stained with the blood of an ancient god. It's definitely not an ordinary object. Wang Lin's gaze immediately became serious. At this moment, he was focused on the sword. The moment the iron sword was drawn, a figure rose from beneath the sea. This person appeared unnoticed, as if completely transparent. It was a masked man whose eyes gleamed with a strange light. He stared intently at the iron sword, muttering, "This is Qian Feng." Drawing out the iron sword was a last resort. The iron sword was the most secret treasure of his tribe. Years ago, the vermilion bird had obtained it from an unknown location and hidden it in the Qian family. The previous vermilion bird, after leaving this sword, had said, "Even with my cultivation level, I cannot see through this sword. Subsequent generations must never take it out unless it is the day of the tribe's annihilation." After the vermilion bird declared war on the immortal tribe, Qian Feng secretly went to the hiding place and quietly took the sword. He wanted to kill Wang Lin, but he didn't trust the magical artifacts the vermilion bird had given him. Therefore, he secretly took this sword. This was the magical artifact he had prepared to counter the 10 billion soul banner. At this moment, a loud cry suddenly erupted from the red clouds where the vermilion bird and cloud bird were fighting. Immediately afterward, a phantom figure flashed out from within, flying straight towards Wang Lin and Qian Feng. In an instant, the phantom figure flew into the encirclement of souls. All the souls in its path screamed in agony and dissipated. This phantom figure directly pierced through, creating a long path. When this phantom figure entered the encirclement, Wang Lin's expression changed, and he immediately retreated. But at this moment, a sinister laugh emanated from the phantom figure. A phantom red body suddenly materialized from within the illusion. The man stepped out and swung his arm towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin immediately spat out a large mouthful of blood, flying away like a shooting star. He only managed to stabilize himself after traveling thousands of feet, spitting out another mouthful of fresh blood, and even feeling some of his internal organs shattering. A red phantom flashed and transformed into a man with red hair. Half of his body was transparent, and inside, a small monkey suddenly appeared. Streams of red light emanated from the monkey's body, forming an illusory figure. "Thak Sen." Wang Lin inwardly groaned, uttering each word. The illusory figure moved again, this time lunging to Qian Feng's side, grabbing him and throwing him backward. The vermilion bird mystic formation on Qian Feng's body automatically activated, ready to stop the man. But when the illusory shadow struck, the vermilion bird mystic formation immediately emitted a series of creaking sounds and shattered under his claw. Qian Feng's face instantly turned pale. The shattered vermilion bird mystic formation had severely injured him. After discarding Qian Feng, the illusory figure immediately snatched the iron sword. He examined it for a long time before bursting into laughter, saying, "This is it. The blood on it belongs to one of my 9-star clan members. Excellent. If combined with the cultivation star essence, I'm 10 times more certain I can escape this encirclement." Wang Lin took a deep breath, his right hand sweeping out a claw-like motion, and the 10 billion soul banner instantly materialized in his hand. He shook his hand slightly, and all the souls within a 10-mile radius roared and flew towards the soul banner. At the same time, he subtly moved his mind, and the battle axe and its scabbard also flew towards him. The illusory figure glanced at Wang Lin, a sinister smile appearing on its lips, and said, "Little brat, I'll settle the score with you after I obtain the cultivation star essence." After speaking, he gently stroked the iron sword with his right hand, and the rust on its blade immediately moved, as if coming to life. Finally, it condensed and transformed into a drop of dark red blood. The illusory figure's eyes showed joy. He opened his mouth and swallowed the drop of blood, then gripped the iron sword tightly. His body moved slightly and he vanished from the spot. When he reappeared, he was inside the red cloud where the vermilion bird and cloud bird were fighting. From within the cloud came the furious roars of the vermilion bird and cloud bird, and waves of magical power surged out wildly. Qian Feng, thrown by the illusory figure, had his injuries worsened. He struggled to stabilize himself and tried to flee. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he swung the soul banner in his hand. His entire body transformed into a black beam of light, merging with the souls within the soul banner, and shot straight towards Qian Feng. "I'll exchange Qian Feng's life for the soul essence, then leave the vermilion bird tomb as fast as I can." Wang Lin roared inwardly, his speed reaching its limit. he transformed into a gust of wind filled with souls, directly wrapping around Qian Feng and trapping him inside. Wang Lin's body flashed, and he appeared in front of Qian Feng. His right hand lightly pointed forward, pressing on Qian Feng's forehead. Qian Feng's face turned pale, his eyes revealing a look of madness. His vermilion bird mystic formation was destroyed, his iron sword was stolen, his magic weapon was broken, and his lifespan was shortened. Now he was severely injured, and if Wang Lin captured him, he would surely die without a burial place. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. A look of madness flashed in Qian Feng's eyes as he prepared to self-destruct. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and he softly chanted, "Soul Essence." The imprint of the purple light still lingered in his mind. It immediately emitted a brilliant light from his forehead before flying straight out, hovering between him and Qian Feng. To extract a life soul from the essence of the spirit, one must exchange a life for a life. At this moment, Qian Feng, who was about to self-destruct, let out a tragic cry. His eyes immediately dimmed. Suddenly, two life souls appeared on the purple mark, emitting an eerie light. One belonged to Wang Lin, the other to Qian Feng. Qian Feng's life soul gradually shattered. Finally, Wang Lin's life soul also gradually dissipated, transforming into countless points of light floating like a galaxy, merging into Wang Lin's forehead. Wang Lin was instantly shaken. He felt something new within his body. A feeling of satisfaction dissolved into his spirit and body. Qian Feng, on the other hand, his eyes dimmed. He died before completing his self-destruction. For streams of spiritual light flew from his forehead, trembling slightly before gradually dissipating into nothingness. The four disappearing streaks of spiritual light were the 5 elements for stars that Qian Feng had devoured from Hongdai. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with cold light. He raised his right hand and instantly caught one streak of spiritual light, while the other 3 dissipated into nothingness. Qian Feng's body plummeted from the air to the bottom of the sea. Qian Feng's storage bag suddenly flew out and was caught by Wang Lin. In the instant Qian Feng died, Zhou Wutai and Zidin, who were still observing from afar, suddenly exchanged glances. Zhou Wutai sighed inwardly. He wanted to tell Wang Lin something, but he hadn't had the chance to speak. The hatred in Zixin's eyes gradually dissipated. She stared at Qian Feng's body sinking to the bottom of the sea and immediately smiled. In her smile, there was only hatred. Qian Feng, a cold light flashed in Zixin's eyes. She immediately sat down cross-legged, her hands forming a strange hand seal. At this moment, a light flashed between her eyebrows, and a group of puppet cultivators suddenly appeared on all sides to protect her. The cauldron. Who is the true cauldron? Wang Lin, you still can't see through it. This time, you killed Qian Feng and benefited Zidin. Alas, it's a pity I don't know what kind of technique Yun Q used. I've never heard of such a divine ability. It's bizarre and unpredictable. Even though I've just awakened the inherited memories of the Azure Dragon, I have no recollection of this kind of magic. A complex expression appeared in Zhou Wutai's eyes as he looked at Zidin, sitting beside him. At this moment, Zixin's face shimmered with 7-colored light. A powerful aura gradually condensed around her. This aura was extremely similar to Qian Feng's. Wang Lin's entire body was wrapped in the soul banner. He immediately rushed out into the golden ocean. But at that very moment, within the red cloud created by the vermilion bird, a deafening sound suddenly erupted. Cloudbird was thrown out, a stream of fresh blood slowly trickling from his mouth. His eyes glazed over. After being flung out of the cloud, he nearly collapsed. At the same time, Vermilion Bird was also thrown out. His face turned grim. Before losing his life, the aura of death on his face intensified. A trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. A sudden burst of laughter erupted from within the red cloud. Then the cloud instantly dissipated, revealing a white crystal in the hand of Thaxam's illusory form, his eyes gleaming with red light. You two brats, just wait until I break free, then you'll see the true strength of Thaxam. Thaxam laughed loudly, then transformed into a flash of lightning. His target this time was Wang Lin. Wang Lin, now it's your turn. Thaxam's voice was icy cold, instantly causing Wang Lin's body to tremble. The soul banner enveloped his body and flew wildly like an arrow. But Thaxam's speed was even faster. In an instant, he caught up with Wang Lin, his ominous voice echoing in Wang Lin's ears. You can't escape, Wang Lin. I've been waiting a long time to devour your inherited memories. Wang Lin's expression turned grim. He lightly flicked his right hand, and the war axe instantly appeared in his hand. He suddenly turned around, frantically channeling all the immortal power within his body into the war axe, then flashed straight down. A blade more than 10 meters long, carrying dense immortal power, suddenly flew out, breaking through the air. Wherever the blade went, the heavens and earth were split in two, as if creating a new world. The eyes of the illusory figure of Tushen flashed with red light, and his right index finger lightly pointed forward, causing the axe's aura to instantly shatter. Wang Lin immediately retreated. His face turned pale as he hastily retracted the war axe. Then he took out the 10 billion soul banner and shook it, coldly saying, "Fun." As soon as the word was uttered, all the souls within the 10 billion venerable soul banner immediately flew out and frantically merged together. The merging speed was so fast that it was almost instantaneous. In a flash, all the souls and the main soul merged into one in front of Wang Lin. A soul emitting a purple light suddenly appeared. The aura emanating from it indicated a cultivation level of early-stage nascent soul. When it appeared, it waved its right hand, and its body instantly solidified from the void. After releasing the nascent soul, Wang Lin retreated without hesitation. He knew it couldn't defeat its opponent. Wang Lin knew this very well. "What, you certainly have some tricks up your sleeve. No wonder you obtained the inherited memories when you were only at the golden core stage. But if this were before I obtained the ancient god's blood, it might have held its own for a while. But now it can't even stop half of my progress." Dak Sam's red hair fluttered in the windless air. An arrogant aura instantly emanated from him. Dak Sam laughed heartily. His body moved, and he strode forward. At the same time, his right fist struck out. This punch looked ordinary, but the expressions of the vermilion bird and cloud bird turned grim. Just moments ago, they had both been severely injured by a similar punch, their bodies sent flying. The eyes of the soul-seeking peak's soul flashed with a dark light. Its right hand grabbed at the air, and a purple spear instantly appeared. The spear vibrated and thrust forward, while its body retreated, clamping tightly around Wang Lin, then suddenly flashed and disappeared. This was Wang Lin's purpose. He hadn't fused with the soul-seeking peak's soul to fight, but to use its soul-seeking peak strength to increase his escape speed. The spear broke through the air and struck Dak Sam's fist. A loud boom, a resounding clang echoed, cracks appeared on the spear, and in an instant, it shattered. Dak Sam's body didn't move. He coldly glanced towards the distant place where Wang Lin had disappeared, a cruel smile playing on his lips. He swung his hand, grabbing at the void, and shouted, "Come back!" A massive vortex immediately appeared in the sky. It slowly rotated, emitting an incredibly powerful gravitational pull that filled the heavens and earth. Wang Lin, fleeing, immediately lost control of his body and frantically turned back. Almost instantly, he was back within 100 yards of Dak Sam. "I told you, you can't escape." Wei Sam took a step forward, traversing 100 yards, and unleashed a punch. Wang Lin's face turned grim, a feeling of impending death filling his heart. The feeling was so strong that he immediately made a decision. With a thought, his nascent soul instantly turned around and raised both hands. A strange seal instantly appeared in the void, emitting a terrifying aura. The soul of the peak-seeking spirit's eyes flashed, and his entire body instantly transformed into a black light, merging into the seal. At this moment, the seal was completely black. Shatter! A mournful sound emanated from the peak-seeking spirit's soul. The seal shattered. All the souls self-destructed, generating an unimaginable shockwave. A destructive aura emanated from the seal, causing Dak Sam's face to change for the first time. He immediately withdrew his fist and retreated. But it was too late. Many souls, and the main soul from the 10 billion venerable soul banner, simultaneously self-destructed. Its power was even greater than the self-destruction of the peak-seeking spirit's condensed soul. The black seal, as fast as lightning, suddenly shattered a few meters in front of Dak Sam. A wave of black energy surged out wildly. These waves seemed to possess sentience. Instead of spreading to other locations, they all shot straight towards Dak Sam. A deafening explosion suddenly echoed throughout the Vermilion Bird Tomb. At this moment, not only the Vermilion Bird Tomb but everyone on Vermilion Bird Star could feel a world-destroying aura spreading. Dak Sam's figure was thrown backward like a shooting star. Dak Sam's body, hundreds of meters away, became scattered. The eyes of the little monkey inside his body dimmed and closed tightly, dying instantly. But after the illusory image formed from the red light dissipated, it condensed again. Although it seemed to vanish with a gust of wind, it now emitted an astonishing aura of a powerful expert. Unexpectedly, you possess such a high-level magic treasure, Wang Lin. I underestimated you. Daxan's voice, emanating from the illusory figure, carried a chilling aura. Within the 10 billion soul banner, except for the 4 main souls condensed to pursue Liumi, all the others had self-destructed, generating astonishing power. Even so, it couldn't completely destroy Thaxam. Thaxam's strength was truly overwhelming. Wang Lin felt a bitter pang in his heart. He sighed softly and raised his right hand, pressing it against his forehead. He didn't know if the heaven-defying space could escape Thaxam's pursuit. He wasn't certain. Let's see where you can run this time. Thaxam's body gradually solidified. He took a step forward. But at that moment, a rainbow suddenly shot out from within the sea, traveling at an incredibly fast speed, reaching a distance of 10 meters in front of Thaxam. The rainbow dissipated, revealing a masked man. He extended his right hand into the void and pressed it towards Thaxam, a strange light flashing in his eyes as he softly uttered, "Seal." Thaxam's expression changed as he stared at the man, quickly retreating. The masked man's eyes suddenly gleamed, and 5 beams of light shot out from within, transforming into numerous glittering iron chains. The 5 chains trembled, transforming into 5 gigantic, overlapping seals that suddenly shot straight towards Thaxam. If you hadn't been injured just now, I wouldn't have been able to seal you. But now that you've been wounded by the self-destruction of the soul of the peak-seeking realm, I can do it. The overlapping seals suddenly flashed and pursued Thaxam. Thaxam's expression changed rapidly, and he retreated further, shouting, "Who are you?" The masked man said nothing, his eyes flickering with strange light. Those markings suddenly pierced through the void and vanished, only to reappear behind Thaxam. Then, with incredible speed, they imprinted themselves on Thaxam's back. Thaxam raised his head, a cloud of red flying from his mouth. His body gradually dissipated, finally disappearing completely. But the red mist in the sky grew even thicker, swirling and finally transforming into Thaxam's face. He stared at the man, roaring, "No matter who you are, if I ever escape this place, I will definitely kill you." The swirling red cloud suddenly stopped. Then it transformed into many pink points of light, scattering in all directions and falling like a pink rain. The masked man's right hand swung a claw into the void, and amidst the pink points of light, a few white points of light twinkled. The white dots condensed in one place, finally forming a crystal that fell into his hand. At the same time, the iron sword that Qian Feng had taken out also condensed into shape in the void and was grasped by this person. He looked at the iron sword for a long time before putting it away. Wang Lin stared at the masked man, his heart shaken. At this moment, not only him, but everyone's eyes from all sides were focused on this person. In Yunquist's eyes, there was only fear. He couldn't see through this person's cultivation level. He knew that if it were a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, he could still discern some clues. But this person, whom he couldn't see through, must have a cultivation level far exceeding nascent soul. Thinking of this, Yun Q trembled. Juqua's eyes became serious. He stared at the person, especially the white crystal. Recalling the process by which the opponent had condensed from nothingness to create this object, the vermilion bird's body trembled, his eyes showing disbelief. And he exclaimed in a trembling voice, You are the masked man," sighed softly, glancing at the vermilion bird, and calmly said, "Vermilion bird, do you know you've made a mistake?" Yiwire. Yan Q looked at this person and muttered, "Not the great vermilion bird, don't make wild guesses." The vermilion bird immediately interrupted Yan Q. He respectfully looked at the masked man and said, "Junior greets the Alliance Envoy. Junior knows he has made a mistake." Alliance Envoy Cultivation Alliance Envoy. Yan Q gasped, "Vermilion bird, your lifespan is over. You should return." There's no need to force it anymore. The plot to destroy the Cultivation Star is a grave taboo of the Cultivation Alliance. Out of consideration for your reason for leaving this time, I will temporarily refrain from pursuing the matter. You may return. The masked man spoke with utmost composure. The vermilion bird's face was filled with anguish. He silently nodded, but his eyes suddenly flashed, and he said, "Ambassador, I can return, but the immortal tribe, I will handle it," the masked man said. The vermilion bird took a deep breath, crossed his legs, and sat down on the ground, closing his eyes tightly. A bitter smile appeared on his lips as he turned to leave. His lifespan was about to be cut short, so he had to temporarily borrow Qian Feng's lifespan. This time, seeing the Cultivation Alliance ambassador, he was forced to abandon everything as he closed his eyes. He vaguely recalled the ancient texts left behind by the first-generation Vermilion bird, Yuwayu, which stated that a Cultivation Alliance ambassador had been stationed on the Vermilion bird star from beginning to end, rotating and hiding very deeply. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly flashed, and he slowly retreated. At this moment, the masked man turned to look at Wang Lin, smiling and saying, "Brother Dan Yu, don't you recognize me?" Wang Lin was stunned, staring intently at the man. After a long while, a glint of light flashed in his eyes. The man raised his right hand to his mask, slowly removing it to reveal his true face. "It's you." Wang Lin's eyes became serious. "It's been many years, Brother Dan Yu. Your demeanor is still the same. But there's something I don't understand. Why did you refuse to become the next Vermilion bird?" In the Cultivation Demon Sea of the Vermilion Bird Star, on a giant rock in the Blood Sea of the ancient God land, Toussaint suddenly raised his head. A hint of unwillingness appeared in his eyes, but it instantly vanished, giving way to a sky-shattering crimson light. "You can sever my consciousness, but you can't stop me from escaping this place." A drop of crimson blood slowly appeared before him. Shen stared intently at the drop of blood, a sinister look in his eyes. "With this, I can escape this place soon, Wang Lin. I'll spare your life this time, but next time I won't let you escape." "Mosey." Wang Lin's pupils contracted, and he calmly said, "It is I, Mo." "Brother Dan Yu, you still haven't answered my question." The man removed his mask. It was the same man who, years ago, had spoken with Wang Lin about the Tao of life and death during a stormy night at the ancient temple. "My ambition doesn't stop at the Vermilion bird," Wang Lin said calmly. His heart had now become calm. The white Tao crystal that had flown towards him earlier was likely closely related to this man. Mosey glanced at Wang Lin, shaking his head and saying, "What a pity if Brother Dan Yu has made up his mind. I won't stop him." A look of bewilderment suddenly appeared in his eyes, and after a moment, his expression returned. At this moment, his gaze fell upon Yan Q. "1/3 of the territory of the Vermilion Bird Star can be given to your immortal tribe, but every 1,000 years, you must provide a skull of a clansman of 9 leaves or higher. Yan Q, do you agree?" Yan Q felt a bitter pang in his heart. At this moment, he had no right to refuse. The person before him represented the Cultivation Alliance. The Immortal Tribe was simply powerless to resist. Yan Q nodded vigorously. It seemed as if in an instant he had aged, his eyes dimming. Just then, a massive wave suddenly surged from the bottom of the sea. The entire Vermilion bird tomb was once again on the verge of collapse, with towering waves rising from the surface. Mosey raised his right hand, and a white crystal instantly appeared in his hand, emitting streams of white light thousands of feet high. This white light instantly illuminated the entire Vermilion bird tomb. Then the beam of light burst forth once more like 1,000 horses galloping through the sky, spreading throughout the Vermilion bird tomb. "Combine," Mosey whispered. As soon as the word was uttered, the collapse process immediately stopped. The land that had turned into nothingness instantly solidified, and all the cracks quickly closed. After 10 breaths, the entire Vermilion bird tomb was completely restored. Mosey glanced at the white crystal in his hand, then threw it towards the sea. The crystal immediately sank and disappeared. Then, his right hand lightly pointed towards where the Vermilion bird was sitting. A heart-shaped crystal slowly floated out from the top of the Vermilion bird's head. The crystal had many deep cracks, as if it could shatter at any moment. But at this moment, the cracks closed in a strange way. After 3 breaths, this heart-shaped crystal immediately returned to normal, without any cracks remaining. The next Vermilion bird title will be given to Moji's gaze swept around, shifting from Wang Lin to Zhou Wutai and then stopping. Zhou Wutai's heart pounded. He was extremely excited, his body trembling. The Azure Dragon bloodline, indeed a suitable choice. What a pity. His cultivation hasn't reached the nascent soul stage. Moji's gaze then shifted away from Zhou Wutai. This time, his eyes fell on Zidin, who was sitting beside Zhou Wutai. The cauldron obtained through a fortuitous coincidence. Also extremely rare. Moji's eyes flashed, about to make a decision. Zhou Tai gave a bitter smile and sighed inwardly. He knew his cultivation was insufficient, and he had no hope of obtaining the Vermilion Bird title. The cauldron, this is a bit strange. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He and Zidin had some friction between them. The animosity outweighed the friendship. The incident within Zixin's body was immediately understood by a glance. Something had happened between Zidin and Qianfeng. She was Qianfeng's cauldron. I killed Qianfeng, but I don't know why it benefited her. Wang Lin couldn't figure this out. His cultivation time was long, but he couldn't recall what kind of divine technique could achieve such a drastic change. Such actions were too bizarre and unpredictable, but these kinds of divine techniques must have a fatal flaw. Wang Lin's gaze swept over Yun Qiu, secretly confirming that everything was definitely related to this person. Ambassador Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then spoke. Mosey looked at Wang Lin. Not yet at the nascent soul stage, but that doesn't mean I can't break through to the nascent soul stage in this lifetime, Wang Lin said thoughtfully. As soon as he finished speaking, Zidin, who had been meditating with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes wide. She stared at him with cold eyes. Wang Lin could clearly sense Qianfeng's strong aura on her. Wang Lin, what do you mean by that? Zidin said coldly. Wang Lin looked at her, his eyes calm, and said, Little brat, when I was cultivating, you weren't even born yet. Your mouth still smelled of milk. Shut your mouth. Zixin's eyes flashed with cold light. She straightened up, and the mid-stage nascent soul aura on her body immediately spread out wildly. She stared at Wang Lin and said, Wang Lin, when you took me into the spatial rift, you almost killed me. I still remember that. Before, your cultivation was too profound, but now your 10 billion soul banner has been destroyed, and your cultivation is only at the early stage of nascent soul. Killing you would be as easy as lifting a finger. Wang Lin coldly glanced at Zidin. A sarcastic smile appeared in his eyes. He calmly said, If I agree to become the Vermilion Bird. As soon as these words were spoken, Zidin was stunned. She stared at Wang Lin, struggling internally. After a moment, she lowered her head again, saying nothing. If Wang Lin truly became the Vermilion Bird, and he used the Vermilion Bird seal to kill her, she would have no way to resist. At this moment, she bitterly realized that she had always been afraid of Wang Lin. Although she had now obtained Qianfeng's cultivation, this feeling still lingered. Mosey smiled at Wang Lin and said, Big Ox, do you want to become the Vermilion Bird? Wang Lin calmly replied, Ambassador, even if I become the Vermilion Bird's son, I will pass this title to him. Wang Lin pointed his right hand towards Zhou Tai. Zhou Tai's body trembled slightly upon hearing this. His eyes looked at Wang Lin with gratitude. Mosey smiled. He felt that the Vermilion Bird title was actually insignificant. Giving it to anyone would be fine. It had no bearing on his future. On the contrary, if it were Wang Lin, it would pique his interest. After a moment of thought, Mosey lightly pointed his right hand towards Zhou Tai, and the heart-shaped crystal immediately floated in front of him before flashing and flying straight towards Zhou Tai. Zhou Tai's body trembled violently. The heart-shaped crystal transformed into a lightning bolt that shot straight into his forehead and gradually sank inside. You will spend a year in seclusion here to comprehend the Vermilion Bird seal. From now on, you will be the 15th Vermilion Bird. But I will not break the seal on the cultivation star. That's all. After saying this, Mosey waved his sleeve, and the bodies of the Vermilion Bird and Cloud Bird instantly disappeared. At the same time, Zhou Tai's body fell and vanished into the seabed. Now, only Mosey and Wang Lin remained. Thank you. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then clasped his hands together and said. Mosey laughed heartily, saying, Brother Zhang Yu, perhaps I will need your help in the future, so don't refuse then. I must leave this place now and return to the Cultivation Alliance to report back. If there is a chance, we will definitely meet again someday. Let's go outside together. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he shook his head, saying, Ambassador, I still have some matters to attend to in the Vermilion Bird tomb. A smile appeared in Moji's eyes. He nodded, his right hand pressing forward, a red seal appearing before him, saying, Remember, if you want to leave this place, use your immortal power to condense on the seal, and you will be transported out. Mosey looked at Wang Lin for a long time, then turned and stepped into the void, disappearing. At this moment, only Wang Lin remained. My Anwanara souls are already taken. Let this vermilion bird star be left to vermilion bird Chuatai. I owe him a great debt of gratitude, and when he leaves this place, he will take care of those connected to me. This also puts my mind at ease. This is the reason he wanted Chuatai to become the vermilion bird, so he wouldn't have to worry about future matters. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then his body moved slightly and he flew straight into the distance. He hadn't flown far when he saw 3 streaks of black light approaching from afar, transforming into 3 main souls in front of him, with the Killen's remnant soul also among them. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand, and the soul banner immediately appeared in his hand, instantly enveloping the 3 main souls. Liu Mi certainly had some skill. She killed one of the 4 pursuing main souls. It seems she has left the vermilion bird tomb. When I leave here, I must kill her. I have no deep-seated hatred for her, but she has repeatedly provoked me. Before, she conspired with Qian Feng to try and kill me. She cannot be forgiven. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, his decision made. The beautiful moments with Liu Mi did not affect Wang Lin's resolve. Wang Lin's feelings for women, except for Li Miwan, were completely indifferent. This journey into the vermilion bird tomb has come at a heavy price. The 10 billion soul banner now only has 3 main souls. All the other souls have perished. Its power has been greatly diminished, but if enough souls return, the banner will surely become perfect again. However, wandering souls cannot merge inside. Otherwise, it would be much easier to repair. The essence of cultivation is crucial to the evolution of the extreme realm, and it's absolutely essential, but the most important thing is to find Siligu and the curved saber. I must obtain that saber. Wang Lin knew where Siligu was. He took a step forward, and his entire body instantly transformed into a wisp of green smoke, flying straight into the distance. Everything in the vermilion bird tomb ended here. As for the immortal tribe, after Yun Q emerged from the vermilion bird tomb, the entire tribe immediately retreated to occupy a territory in the northwest of Vermilion Bird Star. They settled there to avoid contact with cultivators. On Vermilion Bird Star, too many cultivators died in this war. In a short time, all the sects in the cultivation nations were in dire straits, and they began recruiting disciples in large numbers. Many people unsuitable for cultivation were also taken in by the sects. Some exceptionally talented individuals were selected by the sects, considered treasures requiring intensive training and preparation to become the core force of the sect. At this time, only one early-stage nascent soul cultivator remained on Vermilion Bird Star. This person was the patriarch of the Overlord sect, who secluded himself and paid no heed to worldly affairs. Although he was somewhat resentful, since Chuwutai was the successor to the Vermilion Bird, chosen by the alliance of envoys themselves, he had no choice but to accept it. A year later, Chuwutai emerged from the Vermilion Bird tomb. Although his cultivation was only at the late stage of the Transformation God realm, combined with the Vermilion Bird seal, it was enough to intimidate cultivators at the nascent soul realm. He became the one with the lowest cultivation level among all the titled cultivators. Perhaps knowing his cultivation was too low, Chuwutai immediately went into seclusion in Vermilion Bird Mountain after his appearance. The entire Vermilion Bird Star was enveloped in unprecedented silence. In the vast sky outside Vermilion Bird Star, Liu Mi's face was grim as she stomped on a cluster of purple light, flying away like an arrow. Wang Lin Liu Mi bit her lower lip, transforming into a shooting star and flying into the distance like lightning. If it weren't for my master secretly giving me the 4th soul of the soul banner, I would have died when your 4 main souls were chasing me. A purple light flashed on Liu Mi's forehead, a tiny needle continuously glittering on her brow. When we meet again, I will definitely not be as pathetic as I am now. Wang Lin, you will definitely not recognize me. After the heavenly illusion heartless Dao will come the myriad illusion heavenly demon Dao. A cold glint flashed in Liu Mi's eyes. Then she vanished into the starry sky. Liu Mi wasn't the only one leaving the Vermilion Bird Star. At this moment, in the vast universe, another girl was flying away like an arrow. She wore a purple silk scarf over her face, her eyes calm. She was Yidin, from the Cloud Heaven sect in Chu Kingdom on the Vermilion Bird Star. In the building where Li Muwen used to live, a person sat. He wore a white robe, his hair simply tied back. His appearance was ordinary, yet he exuded a strange aura that made him unforgettable at first sight. His eyes were calm, clear, and distinct like those of a child. But within them lay a profound depth, a gaze that would leave outsiders disoriented. His expression was utterly serene. He sat there, his eyes fixed on the window. Outside, on the ground, lay a tiger languidly, basking in the sun. Occasionally, its eyes would open wide, and it would let out a few low growls. It would then turn, arching its back to warm itself. A young woman sat cross-legged beside the tiger. Her face possessed a purity, especially her innocent expression, which only enhanced her beauty. She sat there, breathing deeply, to streams of white energy emanating from her nostrils and converging above her head. The man sitting in the pavilion was none other than Wang Lin. A year ago, he emerged from the Vermilion Bird Tomb and returned to Zhao Kingdom. Upon arriving here, he immediately went into seclusion. This seclusion lasted a full year. After a year, Wang Lin's injuries from the Vermilion Bird Tomb had completely healed. His cultivation had also improved somewhat. Although he hadn't reached the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm, he had further solidified his early-stage nascent soul realm. 7 days ago, Zhou Wutai from Vermilion Bird Kingdom sent an invitation to Wang Lin to participate in the title conferment ceremony, but Wang Lin politely declined. Knowing Wang Lin's decision, Zhou Wutai didn't try to persuade him further. He had sworn an oath that as long as he lived, all those connected to Wang Lin would be protected and safe. Wang Lin glanced out the window, then withdrew his gaze and patted his storage bag. The immortal sword immediately flew out and hovered in front of him. As soon as the immortal sword flew out, a curved saber also automatically flew out of the storage bag. It circled around the immortal sword as if extremely happy. Master, fourth brother has been tamed by me and is especially obedient. Fourth brother, come and pay your respects to your master. Su Liguo's voice came from within the immortal sword. Immediately afterward, a cloud of black mist poured out from the immortal sword, transforming into the form of Su Liguo. At this moment, his expression was extremely smug. The curved saber immediately vibrated, and a dark blue mist flew out from within, transforming into the shape of a pupil whose face was indistinct. After appearing, it looked towards Wang Lin and nodded, transmitting a faint trace of divine consciousness. Greetings, Wang Lin looked at the curved saber, his admiration for Su Liguo growing even stronger. Previously, when he found Su Liguo in the Vermilion Bird Tomb, he didn't know what methods this guy used, but he seemed to be living very happily with that curved saber. Seeing Su Liguo about to leave, the saber immediately flew after him. This was completely unexpected for Wang Lin. Even now, Wang Lin couldn't control the saber and couldn't leave any spiritual consciousness within it. Only when Su Liguo was in danger would the saber immediately come to his aid. Su Liguo had become many times stronger than before. If it weren't for his constant fear of Wang Lin, his life and death held in Wang Lin's hands, and if it were someone else, Su Liguo would have long since rebelled. Wang Lin realized he was no match for the crescent-shaped saber. Getting entangled with it would be extremely troublesome. Fortunately, for some reason, the crescent-shaped saber was very attached to Su Liguo, so he could control it to some extent. For the past year, Wang Lin had also devoted himself to studying the saber. He wanted to know whose soul on the Vermilion Bird Star was so powerful that it could form this saber. But there had been no progress. After a long time, Wang Lin no longer wanted to investigate this matter. Master, I'll take fourth brother out for a stroll, Su Liguo said. Seeing Wang Lin nod, he immediately jumped onto his immortal sword and transformed into a rainbow, flashing out of the window and flying straight out. The crescent-shaped saber followed behind, emitting clear humming sounds. The saber and sword instantly disappeared into the horizon, their destination unknown. Wang Lin reached into his storage bag. Before he left, there were still some things he needed to do. The magical artifacts in his storage bag still needed further refinement. After all, this time he was leaving this place for the Heavenly Fortune Star, and the road ahead was too uncertain. He didn't know what might happen. Wang Lin was deep in thought when suddenly a resolute voice echoed from the void and entered his ears. Wang Lin, there's a clue to the matter you asked me to investigate. Outside Phoenix City in Chu Kingdom, there's a place called Tangyuan Village. Don't bother me with such trivial matters anymore. I'm very happy as a prince now and don't have time to pay attention to you. Alright, just let me know when you're leaving. We'll leave this place together. Sichunan's voice was relaxed and then faded away. A slight smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. After he left the Vermilion Bird tomb, he met Sichu Nan again. He intended to return to the state of Chu with the old man to handle some minor matters before leaving, but halfway there, Sichu Nan saw a mortal's palace. He immediately wanted to become a prince. He said he didn't want to go to the state of Chu with Wang Lin and then disappear into someone else's palace. It's unknown what trick he used, but on the second day, the emperor bestowed upon him the title of self-contemplating prince. From then on, he lived a carefree and unrestrained life, but he didn't forget about leaving this place. He told Wang Lin to let him know before he left. Wang Lin took a deep breath, straightened up, and pushed open the door to go outside. As soon as Wang Lin appeared, the girl sitting under the tree immediately opened her beautiful eyes and looked at him. She smiled, finished her breathing exercises, and happily said, "Uncle, look how Nani's cultivation has progressed. I'm now at the second level of the condensing chess stage. That girl was Chu Ryu." A year before Wang Lin went to Chu Kingdom, he immediately took out the pagoda to let Ryu and Zibai out. Wang Lin had left plenty of food inside the pagoda, enough for Ryu. After Ryu came out, she begged Wang Lin to teach her cultivation. He didn't want her to keep clinging to him, so he taught her the Che condensation incantation. Wang Lin looked at the graceful and charming girl in front of him. In such a short time, Ryu had transformed from a little girl into a grown woman. Looking at her, he felt a pang of nostalgia for Li Muwen. "Uncle, what's wrong?" Ryu stepped forward, surprised to see Wang Lin. Wang Lin had erased all of Ryu's memories of Li Muwen, leaving her unaware of her. Zibai hadn't told Ryu about it either. Wang Lin gently stroked Ryu's hair, his eyes filled with affection, a look he had rarely shown before. Although outwardly his age was no different from Churu's, his loving gaze was very natural. "Uncle is getting old. Seeing you reminds me of an old friend," Wang Lin murmured. Chu Ryu smiled charmingly. Her voice, like the wind blowing silver bells, laughed and said, "Uncle isn't old at all." The other day, a junior disciple who just joined the sect secretly came here to ask if you were my older brother. Wang Lin smiled. This child clearly sat here all day yesterday. There was no junior disciple who came running here. She was clearly trying to comfort him. "Uncle has been cultivating for almost 600 years now. How could I not be old?" Wang Lin sighed softly, a hint of melancholy in his eyes. In those 600 years, he had experienced so much. From an unknown mortal, he had painstakingly made his way to becoming the chosen one to be the Vermilion Bird's son. Recalling all that had happened, Wang Lin felt as if it were a dream. 600 years of cultivation had taught him so much, and at the same time, his heart had become even more resolute. Does Rura miss her parents? Wang Lin looked at Chu Ryu. Churu's body trembled slightly, a hint of longing in her eyes. After a moment, she lowered her head and softly said, "Only vague memories remain." Wang Lin looked at Chu Ryu, a pang of regret in his eyes. If it weren't for him, Chu Ryu would be with her parents right now. She would have had a warm childhood, not like now, with only a tiger as her companion. "Ruer, Uncle will take you home," Wang Lin said softly. He gently waved his sleeve, and a cloud immediately appeared beneath their feet. He pulled Chu Ryu up, and the cloud instantly shot straight up into the sky and flew away into the distance. Zibai immediately flipped over. It no longer bothered to lie in the sun, but let out a roar and launched itself straight into the air, flying after him. "Uncle, you found my parents?" On the cloud, Chu Ryu bit her lip and whispered, "I found them, Ruer. From now on, you must be filial to your parents. Remember, filial piety is the most important thing in life. If you are not filial, you are not a real person." After Wang Lin finished speaking, the image of his parents reappeared before his eyes. Chu Ryu nodded. She looked at Wang Lin, hesitating for a long time before saying, "Uncle, didn't you want to take me away from Vermilion Bird Star?" Wang Lin glanced at Chu Ryu. He sighed softly and said, "Ruer, our fate together is over." "Uncle." Churu's body trembled, her expression changed, and her eyes turned red. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Don't say any more," Wang Lin said in a low voice, and the cloud beneath his feet accelerated, flying into the distance like an arrow. Little White roared from behind. It flew straight up, its eyes filled with annoyance, thinking to itself, "Grandpa Tiger may not run fast, but he won't be able to shake me off. Even if I have to cough up blood, I'll catch up to him.